All right. Goku and Superman grow up on Earth together. I'm back with one of my OG stories. I'm just going to remaster this and keep it going afterwards. And the reason for this is because I started this series 2 years ago, and back then I didn't write scripts. And my imagery was trash also. So, anyways, I hope you guys like What If Goku and Superman Grew Up Together remastered version. Right? And to make this catch up faster, I'm going to merge 2 episodes each together on the first 2 parts. So let's get it started. Yeah, because I think I only did like 4 parts. So I'm going to do, so episode 1 and 2 will be in this video, and episode 3 and 4 will be in the next video, and then we'll keep it going for there so we can catch up real quick. All right? So anyway, the first alien to make it to Earth was Kal-El, aka Clark Kent, and just like normal, our Kryptonian was adopted by the Kent family. Later on, when Clark was growing older, he was playing football and looked up and saw a spacecraft headed towards the direction of his family farm. The Kents investigate the sand pod and find a crying monkey boy in a crater. Clark would actually be the one to pick up the boy and name him Goku. He got the name from one of his fantasy books he was reading, which is actually possible because the word Super Saiyan has actually been used in the comics, as you can see right here. Kid Flash using the word Super Saiyan right here. Kind of funny, kind of neat. Anyway. And as they grew up, Clark went to school in Smallville, but Goku was homeschooled because of his monkey tail being visible. Right? And one day, Clark realizes he has superpowers and shows them to his family and plans on making a difference in the world by helping people with his powers. And Goku is happy that his brother is so strong. But one noticeable difference between the both of them was that Goku didn't have any interest in becoming a superhero like his brother, but he would help people he saw in trouble if he had the chance. And he also didn't want a costume disguise for himself. He just wanted to be Goku. He didn't want an alias or anything like that. But the one thing that did get his little brother Goku excited was Clark's numerous abilities like heat vision, super hearing, X-ray vision, super strength, etc. And he would try to copy the abilities that he was capable of copying. Like he would also be able to learn how to use eye beams, just like how Goku copied Master Roshi's Kamehameha blast in the original Dragon Ball. So he'd be able to use eye beams, especially since the fact that eye beams have been used in Dragon Ball Z, whether it's by Cooler, King Piccolo, Frieza, Dr. Gero, so on and so forth, Lord Slug. So it's nothing out of the realm of possibility. But anyway, and Goku wanted to be as strong as his brother Clark and was train himself to the extreme, but it always seemed like Clark was way ahead of him. Goku would always beg to spar with Clark when he got the chance, and Superman would from time to time go along with it, always encouraging Goku in his improvements while he was growing himself as a hero. And by the time Superman got into high school, Goku would see his brother on the news doing incredible feats, and the young Saiyan felt that he was being left behind, only training on the farm. So he decided to venture out into the open world and write a letter to his adopted parents about his planned adventure before he departed. The Kents were worried about this upon reading his letter, and when Clark showed up that night, he took flight in search for his brother. Until he eventually caught up with him, and tensions were noticeable, slightly noticeable. As the brothers looked at each other, their dialogue was brief, and Goku told his older brother Clark that he wanted to get stronger, and Superman could see that Goku was serious with his decision and really didn't feel like that it wasn't going any other way. He was going to get stronger, and that was that, pretty much. And eventually Superman decided to let his brother wander off, knowing he had the power to defend himself in the open world, and he also thought that maybe this could get Goku to finally become a hero in his own right when he sees the people in his travels. So they thumbs up each other and go their separate ways. And as Goku watches his older sibling fly off into the night sky, he sees a glowing object falling down from the sky, so he follows where it lands. And the only thing he found was a glowing green rock that had fallen from space, so he picked it up and kept wandering with it in his hands. And while he was on his way out of Smallville, Lex Luthor was running away from his abusive father until he ran right into Goku in his rush to get away, and Goku told him to calm down as he was getting his bearings. But the Saiyan could tell Lex was in distress, so he decided to offer him the rock he found that fell from space, and this action made Luthor forget all about the drama as his mind began to race from the green rock that was told to him that came from outer space. But little did Goku know he had met two of the world's most impactful people in this small town. He was now leaving. And then we go into episode 2. See, that was a quick recap of episode 1. I know my original episode 1 was longer, but I cut it a little short. Just to get the ball rolling, right? So this is episode 2, where Goku hits the ground running on his way out of Smallville, ready to improve himself on his adventures. But he wasn't ready for the incoming traffic, and he met the pavement when a truck ran him over. But to the driver's surprise, the kid was fine and simply asked him for a ride out to where he was headed. And that's where Goku made his way to the city, where he was hyped to be, because he had never seen a building this big before except on the television. But the city was also busy with crime, and Black Cat was trailing some gangsters who were aiming a gun at a man, forcing him to open a vault for them. Or they were on the way to do that. They hadn't made it there yet. But before he could ambush the criminals, Goku stepped up and told them what they were doing was wrong. But the streets ain't got no heart, and they didn't want to hear what he had to say, so they shot Goku a single time in the middle of the alley, and Black Cat was distraught, believing he had just witnessed a brave kid lose his life. Until he was amazed at the sight of the boy, who simply got up, annoyed more than anything over the lead projectiles that were now coming his way. As he complained, what was that for? And he was even more surprised when the small boy began taking down the crooks like they were a line of dominoes. And at the moment, the Black Cat knew this kid was special, but he was surprised once again when Goku started to put down a small mat to go to sleep. He was about to go to sleep in the back of this dark alley like it was normal. And it was at this moment he decided to take this kid under his wing. So he introduced himself. Alright, and for a while he taught Goku the arts of boxing and agility techniques. To his surprise, the boy was the fastest learner he had ever seen and had ever trained. And his punches had the power to go through brick walls with no problem. But Goku would always pull back his punches when fighting weaker opponents, because he didn't want to put people on life support. And he even offered Goku a position as his sidekick after he had helped him stop some crimes around the city. But the child was uninterested and decided to leave the gym to finish his journey for self-improvement, but he was thankful for everything he had learned from his first ever teacher. And apparently Goku was making a name for himself, because he was surprised to be approached by a female limo driver named Mercy Graves that told him that her employer wanted to offer the young Saiyan a job. And to his surprise, the employer of question was none other than Lex Luthor, who he had just reunited with. And he remembered when he gave him that green rock a couple years ago. Lex had created a detector that could locate other fragments of what he called Kryptonite around the world, and because he saw Goku take down armed gunmen on video footage several times, he offered the job to Goku to track down the green rock fragments for him. And after Goku accepted his offer, he was given a jetpack to fly around while holding the radar, and Lex was happy to see the boy that gave him the Kryptonite all those years ago. I mean, it was probably, 2 or 3 years ago. I can't remember when I said in the original. But anyway, and one of the locations the Kryptonite was located at was the island of Themyscira, home of the Amazons. And that'll be on episode 3, which will be the next video that I'll do. Once again, it'll be quick. We'll catch up real quick in no time. Hope you guys liked it. And the next video should be out this week as well. So, peace. Alright, we're back with the Goku and DC remastered story. And in this episode, Goku fights with Wonder Woman. And you guys got the last video to 1,000 views in one day. So let's keep that up if y'all want more of these episodes real quick. Alright, real quickly. Alright, I guess I could do a recap on this, but y'all can go watch the video for more information. This ain't gonna be like a recap like I usually do on my other videos. I'm gonna do this real brief and tell you what basically happened. Alright, so let's get to that. Basically, Clark Kent, aka Kal-El, aka Superman, lands on the Kent farm like he does normally, and as he grows up later on, Goku also lands there, and the Kents decide to raise both of them together. Clark goes to a normal school, and Goku is homeschooled. It's discovered that Superman has powers, Clark is interested in becoming a superhero, but Goku isn't very interested in that. But he is interested in all the powers that Clark has and wants to learn how to do the things that he does. But obviously, he doesn't get super hearing and things like that. But he is able to learn heat vision in his own form, where he can shoot eye beams, like how he learned Kamehameha Decaibi from Master Roshi. And he trains himself to one day he tries to be as strong as his brother and competing. And every once in a while, he would spar with Superman. And one day, he realized he was falling behind his potential, so he decides to write a letter to his parents and go out on his own. And him and Superman have a talk, and Superman ends up letting him go. He after Superman leaves, he sees Kryptonite falling from space, or he sees an asteroid falling from space. He goes to it, picks it up. It's a green rock. He decides to take it with him on his travels, and he ends up running into Lex Luthor. Right, he ends up running into Lex Luthor, who is frustrated because he was being abused by his father. And to cheer him up, he ends up giving him the green rock that he found from space, and this does the trick, not knowing that he had just ran into two people that will have a large impact on his life. Right, so that's my brief summary of that. I've never done a summary like that. Let me know how y'all felt about that. And then later on, he meets Black Cat, learns the art of boxing, gets approached by Mercy Graves, he ends up getting hired by Lex Luthor, who tasks him with this radar that can track Kryptonite all over the globe, which leads him to Themyscira, which leads us to Goku fights with Wonder Woman. So, yeah, that's the recap. Y'all can watch this for the detailed version of that. So let's get into it. This will finally catch us up for my remastered version, because in this one, I'm going to do this episode 3 and 4, both parts. So let's get it started. Goku blasts through the clouds with the new jetpack Lex gave him on a mission for the green rocks located on his radar. And as the signature approaches, he is surprised to find a hidden island in front of him. Goku flies lower to the ground and realizes that more than likely the Kryptonite is going to be in the waters within this island as his radar leads him forward. So he drops down to examine the water, and while he was doing it, a young Princess Diana was enjoying the view of Themyscira as she sat on the edge of a cliff that she had made for herself as her private spot for her to be alone in her thoughts. Goku looks up to see a girl his age on a cliff and decides to climb up the hill to introduce himself. But when he says hello, Diana is surprised to see someone here, and even more surprised to see that it is a boy on the Amazon's island, as it was forbidden. At first, Goku was happy to see someone his age on this secret island, but his joy became confusion as Diana became aggressive and told him he was not supposed to be there, and then she began to attack him. And while all that was going on, Superman was gliding through his new home in Metropolis, pursuing the robbery of an unarmed truck as bullets bounced off his body effortlessly. One of the criminals decided to pull out the big guns and fired a grenade launcher at the flying blur of blue, and the impact did no damage to the airborne hero. The young adult Superman stops the crime easily, but his mind is currently elsewhere as he looks at the clouds in the sky. But then he remembered he has to get back into his suit to help Lois out reporting the scene of the crime. Clark arrived just in time for Lois to begin the journalist's job, of what happened at the scene, as she was the first to arrive. And as they make it back to the Daily Planet, Superman wonders what his younger brother Goku is up to, and he hopes he has at least made a friend his age on his journey so far. And then we bring back to while Clark was wondering, Goku was dodging the tip of a blade by the young Amazonian princess. Diana cleaves through a tree with ease as Goku avoids the strike, narrowly losing strands of his hair in the process. Goku is on defensive as he tries to explain this misunderstanding of why he was on this island and what he was doing there, until he eventually comes to a halt and tells his attacker to at least fight him without a weapon since he was unarmed, since that would be only fair. Begrudgingly, the Amazon inserts her blade into the ground, bound by her sense of honor. And Goku puts on a smile and cracks his knuckles, now that the odds are even, and Diana wonders if this boy was going to be a worthy opponent. The pair trade blows with each other, getting hits in while they can, and as they maneuver through the forest of Themyscira. Scratches, sweat, and bruises coat their bodies as they battle for victory, and both of them are enjoying the challenge as they face off with one another. The battle comes to a standstill as the duo size each other up, expecting the next move. Diana smirks at her opponent as she prepares to end this battle with the final decisive blow, and Goku is unnerved by the facial expression he is getting. Then suddenly Wonder Woman takes to the sky with a great leap, and Goku follows her movements, but his vision becomes blurred by the sun, so he decides to follow her shadow instead. He narrowly avoids the sky stomp as Diana crashes into the ground like a boulder. The force was so epic that the floor beneath began to collapse into the river. Diana began to panic as a result because at this point she was vulnerable because she didn't know how to swim, and that's at this point where Goku decided to make a move of his own. He grabbed hold of her hand to stop her from falling. Diana is surprised by the assistance of her enemy and looks up at the boy who started pulling her up, and she began to question the things that she was taught. Maybe all men weren't as bad as she thought. But before she could thank this boy, he dropped like a sack of potatoes as a group of Amazons showed up and grabbed his tail from behind, which was apparently his weakness, his weak spot. Afterwards, they imprisoned Goku and went to report their finding to Queen Hippolyta. Alright, that was the end of episode 3, and like I said, we're going to do episode 3 and 4, and then we'll be caught up with the story that I had done previously, and then I can proceed further. So let's get episode 4 as well. Which brings us to episode 4, and after this episode, we'll be caught up, like I said, with this remastered Goku and DC story. So let's get to it. Hippolyta approaches the imprisoned boy, who is now awake and shouting for his release, but the Queen of the Amazons wanted true answers from the boy, not believing him. So she ropes his neck with the lasso of truth and learns of his whole life story and what ultimately brought him to their island. Diana spies on the interrogation and is surprised by the boy's story and realizes that he wasn't a spy for man after all. However, his true story wasn't going to save him from the sword, as Hippolyta had no interest in altering the rules of the execution for the boy. That is, until her very own daughter approached her and pleaded for the boy's cause by bringing up the fact that Goku saved her from dropping into a ravine that might have drowned her. Hippolyta begrudgingly changed her mind and said that the boy could live, but he wouldn't be able to leave the island due to the threat of him exposing their existence to the evil man outside of Themyscira. Diana then personally travels to Goku's cell to release him, and the Saiyan is happy to be unchained finally. To cheer up Goku, Diana decides to take him to the Colosseum for training, and Goku is excited to see what the hype was all about. After that day, Goku would often train with Diana in the Colosseum. Very often in their battles, it would end in draws most of the time, but Diana had more technical wins than Goku on certain training courses. Goku also trained with the Amazon warriors, who taught him how to use weapons, and the weapon Goku preferred was a wooden staff, and the Amazons were impressed by how fast the boy could learn techniques. The duo would often train to exhaustion and liked how they had someone their age who could push them to become better by training harder, and they had developed a friendly rivalry. And sometimes the pair would even end up falling asleep in the same room because after sparring matches, they would talk about their upbringings, and Goku would often tell Diana about how stronger his older brother Clark was. And Diana was also surprised to hear that Goku grew up isolated as well because he was homeschooled, unlike his brother, so he didn't know much about the affairs of his own world. Eventually, they became more than just rivals. Now they were good friends. But after a while, Goku remembered he needed to gather the rocks for Lex Luthor and told Diana about this as well. And she knew that Goku wasn't allowed to leave the island, but she never told Goku this detail directly. And he never tried to exit until now, and she was conflicted by this announcement. But ultimately, Wonder Woman decided she would help her friend with this task and would even let him leave the island in secret if she had to. Right? She was going to help him leave no matter what, basically. She came to that decision because that's what a real friend would do. Meanwhile, though, while Goku was getting ready to leave the island, Dr. Barbara Minerva was entering the island, and she had paid Giganta to be her bodyguard on her expedition in search of an ancient dagger. Goku dove in the water where the rock resided, and Diana waited from above, still unable to swim herself. While at the same moment, Dr. Minerva had shot an aggressive boar that was charging her. The sound was loud enough to be heard from a distance, and the two preteens heard the sound, and Diana ran towards its direction, leaving Goku in the waters below by himself as he wondered what was going on. Diana sees the doors of a long-abandoned temple with a woman in pink standing in the doorway defensively, and the Amazon does not recognize her as a fellow Amazonian and inquires why is she trespassing, and Giganta simply smirks. The question is unanswered, so Diana gets physical and punches the older woman in her face, believing that she was a hostile intruder. Giganta responds to the attack by kicking the Amazonian in the chest, sending her backwards. And within a moment, she begins to grow in size, about the size of a building, standing over Diana, ready to step on her like a new pair of boots. Now, Diana watches the actions in slow motion as they occur, until suddenly the step is thwarted by the red eye beams of an angry Goku, who had now arrived on the stage to assist his downed friend, slightly panting from using his eye beams, because he had never learned proper energy control, so that took a lot of stamina away from him. The blast had put Giganta on her glutes, and Goku prepared himself for the battle to come as his red eyes changed back to black. Giganta recovered more mad than ever as she looked at the two preteen brats that were now giving her trouble. One had spiky hair and appeared to be wet from water, and the other appeared to be a girl of royalty covered in scuff marks from their encounter. The two young warriors split up as they attacked the behemoth of a woman, getting in little pot shots for a while that annoyed the Titan. But eventually Giganta was able to kick Wonder Woman into the ruins of the temple, knocking out the wind of the warrior in the process. But before she could do any further harm, she began to be pelted by a volley of incoming arrows from other warrior Amazons who had finally made it to the scene to assist Diana in defeating this intruder. And because of this, Giganta began sending shockwave quakes at the Amazonians, who were now in trouble, until Giganta was once again blindsided by a log to the face from Goku, who had begun throwing trees at the enlarged female while she was distracted. The sun had gone down as this action transpired, and this time Giganta was solely focused on this monkey boy who kept causing the most damage to her person, so she decided to end him first. She shook the ground, which caused Goku to lose his footing, and while he was distracted, she smashed him into a mountain with her massive fists. The action brought tears to the eyes of his friend, who thought she just saw his demise. Giganta looked down at the boy she smashed to a pulp, triumphantly as he fell to the ground with tattered clothes as she put her foot near his downed body. And while on his back, Goku laid his eyes on a full moon in the sky that caused his body to twitch as his eyes began to glow a shade of red. Giganta felt the ground below her begin to stir, and watched as Goku began to transform into some sort of beast in an act of horror, until suddenly she was in the presence of a great ape, whose roar was heard throughout all of Themyscira. Ozaru Goku punched Giganta in the face with enough force to crack the sound barrier, sending her backwards. Giganta picked up a tree and turned it into a stake as she sized up the enraged monkey, ready for a real fight to begin. But she quickly realized she was now outmatched in strength by this feral beast. The boy had become far more aggressive and way stronger, and now she was now on the heavy defensive, and she began to panic. And ultimately that led to her defeat by the hands of the great ape, who towered above her unconscious form, victorious, beating his chest. Diana watched the beast celebrate his victory, shaking the island with his steps, as she quickly realized it was her duty to stop this new threat to Themyscira. before a rampage could ensue. But Diana still believed this beast contained her innocent friend Goku within it, so she was conflicted, but resolved by her responsibility. And she began to remember that Goku's weakness appeared to be his tail, so she assumed it was the source of his power, so she came up with a plan of her own. She raised her sword and told the Amazon warriors her plan of action, and they began distracting the beast so she could sever his tail personally. And her plan was successful because she managed to slice off the tail of the raging beast, which caused him to shrink. The Amazons watched the monster shrink back into Goku, and they were in awe by the transformation, viewing the child as some sort of omen. Wonder Woman looked down at her sleeping friend, concerned about him and happy that this fight was finally over. And Dr. Barbara Minerva had escaped with the dagger she was looking for, without her presence even being discovered, and Giganta was now captured and placed in an Amazonian prison for questioning and punishments for her crimes on Themyscira. So yeah, man, that's going to be that for that video. Hope you guys liked it. Be sure you like the video. And let's get the subscribers. I'm trying to get to 1,000, man. We get monetized. Whenever I get monetized, I'm really going to go crazy with these videos, man. So yeah, stay tuned to the next one. Gone. Peace. Yo, alright, so now we're at episode 3 of Goku in DC Remastered. And in this episode, Goku battles against Aquaman, right? Y'all can go watch the last 2 previous episodes for the full version of how we got here. You can guys watch the other parts for the full picture, because I'm going to do a brief recap of what happened, right? So basically, on part 1, Superman lands on Earth, and then a couple years later, Goku lands in the same farm. So the Kents end up raising both Goku and Superman as brothers. Goku eventually goes off to do his own thing, to go on his own adventure so he can get stronger, because he believes that he's getting left behind by Superman, right? While Superman works on becoming a better hero. So those are the 2 journeys. And we go to episode 2, where Goku gets hired by Lex Luthor to look for Kryptonite, and he's given a radar that allows him to sense Kryptonite, and the radar takes him to Themyscira, where he meets Wonder Woman, battles Wonder Woman, and after he battles Wonder Woman, he's taken prisoner. But because he saved Wonder Woman during their battle from falling into a ravine, Wonder Woman talks to her mother, which allows him to get released. Then takes Goku to the Coliseum. All right, and then they have a little training arc. Goku gets trained by the Amazons on how to use weapons. He prefers the staff. Wonder Woman and Goku, or Diana and Goku, become good friends. They become the best of friends, and after a while, Goku remembers he has to go get the Kryptonite, and Wonder Woman decides to help him on his journey, even though Goku is forbidden to leave the island. And at the same time, Dr. Barbara Minerva and Giganta are traveling to Themyscira so that she can retrieve an ancient dagger. Right? She ends up shooting a boar. Wonder Woman investigates. She runs into Giganta, who's the paid bodyguard. They get into a scuffle. Wonder Woman gets put on the back foot, but she's saved by Goku, who uses heat vision that he learned from Clark Kent. Of course, he doesn't have solar heat vision, but he is able to use his ki to form heat vision, even though he doesn't know much about ki, so he's only able to use it in short bursts. And then they have a fight. The battle is tense. I'm skipping over things. You guys go watch the last part. And overall, Giganta ends up defeating everybody and smashes Goku into a wall. Goku sees the moon. He becomes a great ape and ends up defeating Giganta, and then goes on a rampage. Wonder Woman remembers that Goku's weakness was his tail, rallies the Amazons to cut off his tail, and he reverts back to his normal form. And that's where they see Goku there, and Giganta's captured, and Barbara Minerva has captured the dagger that she was looking for. Which brings us to the next part of episode 3 of Goku in DC Remastered, where Goku faces off against Aquaman. Alright? So let's get to it. Diana looks at her mother, whose expression remains stern. Hippolyta tells the princess that whenever Goku wakes out of his coma, she should bring him to the throne room so they can discuss his fate. Hippolyta then tells Diana that she's surprised to see her because she's rarely left that boy's room since he's been unconscious, and Diana blushes at the comment and looks at the ground as she exits the throne room. Wonder Woman finally arrives back to Goku's room and sees her friend awake and smiling at the surprised Amazon, unbothered by his near-death experience. Goku wonders what happened to his clothes, apparently unaware of his Great Ape transformation, and Wonder Woman covers her face quickly as the Saiyan rose out of bed, unashamed by his display, and Diana throws him some clothes she had made for him while he was unconscious, and once the young warrior is dressed, she informs Goku that her mother, the Queen of Themyscira, would like to speak with him directly. So they head on towards that direction. Hippolyta eyes the foreigner with curiosity, and Goku looks around and is impressed with the intricacies of the throne room until Diana tells him to show some respect and hits him in the back of the head. Remembering how the Kents raised him on manners, he bows before Hippolyta and apologizes and greets Hippolyta. And Hippolyta lets Goku know that he is now free to leave their island because he helped the Amazons against an intruder and saved the lives of their fellow sisters. And Goku bows to her and shows his thanks, even though he wasn't even aware that he wasn't allowed to leave because Diana never really told him that part. But he thanked her and went on his way. Wonder Woman walks with her now best friend to the edge of the island, and Goku is talkative as ever, but Diana is quiet and sad to see him leave. But Goku ensures his new friend that they will meet again, and even if he isn't allowed to come back to the island, they'll figure out another way that they can still interact and talk to each other. Diana believes her friend, but she is still sad to see him go as he flies up into the sky wearing the jetpack given to him by his employer, Lex Luthor. And while that send-off was happening, Hippolyta was interrogating Giganta for answers on why she was there, and the lasso of truth made her reveal that she was hired by someone named Dr. Barbara Minerva to steal an ancient dagger from their island. Diana arrives after this confession, and her mother informs the princess that the Pantheon might let her see the boy again sooner than later because she must go to man's world to take back that which was stolen from the Amazons, which was the dagger. Diana gears up in some new armor and prepares to venture into the world of man, secretly hoping her travels will lead her back to her best friend on her way during the travels while she's there. And she equips her sword and shield and heads off. Goku arrives back to the city and is greeted by Mercy Graves, who tells him that it took him long enough and that Lex was waiting for his return, and Goku simply shrugs and tells her that it's a long story on why he's been gone so long. Lex gazes out a window when Goku announces his return, happy to see Lex again. Lex turns around and tells Goku he was starting to worry a little bit, and Goku tells him that he didn't come back empty-handed. As the room glows green when the Kryptonite is handed to the young, bald millionaire who is fascinated by the item he just received. Lex tells Mercy to reward Goku his payment, and the young Saiyan is surprised to see the copious amount of cash he was being given, not expecting this big of a payment reward. Lex then thanks Goku again and assures him that there is more where that came from, and Goku tells Lex that he is off to go travel to the next place that holds the Kryptonite, the next destination, with his radar. He blasts off at full speed, eyeing his Kryptonite radar, looking for the next location. Until he stops and realizes that his next rock must be hidden underwater as he gazes into the abyss of the ocean. He swims through the deep in search of his object, but comes up short. So he dives deeper into the deep, hoping to find what he's looking for. He comes up for air and decides to go back to Lex to tell him the situation in hopes that he can give him some help in proceeding because he can't go any further down into the ocean. Lex builds a special diving suit for Goku and informs him that this should do the trick and wishes him luck once more on his travels. Afterwards, Lex heads down to a medical facility and tells John Corbin that they can now start the medical procedure for him. As Corbin holds his chest, Lex hands his kryptonite to the surgeons with a Cheshire grin on his face as he's ready for the operation to begin. Goku flies back to his location ready to take another dive in the deep, better equipped. And Lex's suit is successful in helping him navigate further down the depths of the sea as he keeps his eye out for the Emerald Prize. But unbeknownst to him, Goku was being watched by the King of Atlantis, who had just recently been attacked by an unknown diver in all black, and he thinks that this new ocean intruder is probably one of his allies. Goku turns around just in time to see the sheen of something sharp and golden aiming for his air tank, and he avoids the strike barely and rushes to the surface. He lands on some eroded rocks and removes his mask, and Aquaman follows suit. Landing on the other side of his target, on some rocks on the other side of the diver. Goku is surprised by his attacker's appearance and asks him if he lives in the water like a fish, but Aquaman isn't kind enough to respond to the stranger in his territory. After his last assignment, he is prepared for anything to happen. Looking at the boy who is now getting out of his diver suit, Aquaman could see that this boy was a young teen. And if he was the enemy, he must be the young protege of that diver in all black that attacked him earlier that week, and Goku is confused but ready to throw down nonetheless. And as a storm reached them, the pair rushed each other simultaneously, ready for battle. But the duo never meet as Goku is pulled back into the waters beneath by a tentacle, and it is revealed that Aquaman had summoned a squid to assist him in this battle from the very beginning. Goku struggles in the water as the squid constricts tighter on the teen, and Aquaman plans to wait till this boy passes out so he can interrogate him on the surface when he resuscitates him as he watches the wrestling match go down from beneath. But as the tentacle gets tighter, Goku's eyes glow brighter, and he fires an eye blast at the coiling tendril, once again imitating his brother Clark's heat vision. With the beam of his own, and the attack forces the squid to back off and flee, and Aquaman can see that this boy isn't an ordinary human, if he is a human at all. Goku lands back on the rocks, soaked and serious as he looks at his opponent, and Aquaman decides to bury his trident into the rocks to make the fight more fair, and plus he didn't want to slay a kid anyways without knowing the true motives at the very least, and he'd rather not slay a kid at all. The lighting dances above as the party of two charge each other again, ready to engage in a melee above water. And the waters rage below as they exchange blows with one another in the middle of a storm. The shockwaves actually made a large fish beach itself on the surface, and Goku notices this as well. He disengages for a timeout from the brawl to launch the fish back into the sea, and Aquaman is surprised by the display, thinking maybe he misjudged this young intruder, and maybe he doesn't have an affiliation with the man in the black diver suit. Goku takes another battle stance as his shirt sits on the rocks, and Aquaman was still assessing what he had just witnessed as the rain continues to come down on the two of them. Then suddenly Goku charges the Sea King once more, and Aquaman can already see his opening this time. And he dodges at the last minute to land a direct power jab to Goku's chin to bring him back down on the rocks. Only for Goku to look up and see a trident pointed at his face, and Aquaman tells the teenage boy to yield, and the Saiyan stays where he is and stops resisting, and compliments Aquaman on his strength as a warrior. And to his surprise, Aquaman disarms himself and compliments him as well, and says that he had a lot of potential for his age, and then he begins to properly introduce himself to Goku. Aquaman can see this kid had a pure heart and helps him on his feet before asking Goku why he was searching within the depths in the first place. And Goku remains honest and tells Aquaman that he is searching for a Kryptonite rock for his friend / employer Lex, who hired him to retrieve the rock for research. Aquaman crosses his arms and realizes that the rock he seeks is in Atlantis. It was found by the scouts, and decides to help out the boy he is beginning to befriend. Aquaman then dives back into the waters and asks Goku to follow behind him to Atlantis, and Goku is excited to see what awaits down below. Meanwhile, John Corbin awakens from his operation feeling stronger than ever, unaware of how much his body has changed since he's been under, and Lex reminds him that now it was time for him to pay him back for saving his life. Corbin smiles and tells Lex that he remembers that he wanted him to take on Superman once he fixed him up as payment, and is happy to do so. We then jump back to Goku, who has now met Aquaman and his lover, whose lover was happy to see his return, worried about him since he was attacked last time by the diver in black. Goku is amazed by the civilizations within the ocean as he is taken on tour by Aquaman and Mera. But not everyone was happy to see a surface dweller amongst them, and one of the detractors was Aquaman's half-brother, known as the Ocean Master, who didn't like what he saw and viewed Goku as a potential spy from the surface. Just then, Superman was investigating a ruckus in the city by a man making smoke beneath him. He flies down only to feel himself getting weaker as he approaches and gets closer to the rabble-rouser, unsure of how and why this was happening to him. And Metallo takes full advantage of this weakness by interlocking his hands with Superman and pushing him backwards into a building, cockily. After the tussle, Superman tackles Metallo out of a window towards a pier in Metropolis. But eventually Metallo stops the pushback and punches Superman in the gut with a mean right swing, knocking the air out of the Kryptonian, who is still weakening during their battle. But on his way down, his hand opens the chest of his opponent, and Metallo reveals that his new heart is made of solid Kryptonite, believing that only Lex had changed and swapped his heart out during the operation. He believes that this green rock is his source of new strength, unaware of what had actually happened. But before Metallo could finish the job, Superman fires his heat vision right into his face, which burns off his synthetic skin, to Corbin's horror, believing he had just been disfigured. And it was at this moment that Metallo was in shock, as he realized he was now more than just a new heart. He was almost fully machine, and he realized that Lex had done more to him than give him a new heart, and he became furious and enraged. And while he was enraged, Superman delivered a powerful haymaker to the distracted cyborg, sending him way off into the ocean. Knocking Metallo into the ocean, he began to sink, unable to swim, and Superman watches him plunge into the depths, unable to pull him out because he would be weakened by the Kryptonite in close proximity. Metallo is pulled underwater as he looks at the hovering Superman, unable to stay afloat. Right? Then we cut back to Goku, who eventually is handed over by Aquaman the Kryptonite after his tour was complete, and Goku has once again accomplished his mission, his objective. And he thanks Aquaman and hopes he'll see him again someday, and the couple watch the Teen Saiyans swim back to the surface with his new item, and they begin to talk about him, intrigued by the strange boy they had just met. Goku arrives back to Lex's building and hands him some more Kryptonite, and Lex tells him that he's getting better at this and tells Mercy Graves to give Goku more money. He also tells Mercy to help Goku open up a bank account in the city, and the two exit his room as he eyes his new prize. Meanwhile, Ocean Master, however, had decided to take matters into his own hands, and he had stolen an ancient container from the vault of Atlantis. He was about to release an old terror upon the surface dwellers. He was freeing the captured King Piccolo, who was sealed away long ago, to once again terrorize the surface and keep them away from Atlantis. Alright, and that's where we're going to end this video. I hope you guys liked it. On to the next one. I'm out. Peace. Let me know what you guys like. Like, comment, subscribe, all that. Gone. Peace. All right, we're on episode 4 of Goku and DC Remastered, and in this episode, Goku's going to meet the League of Assassins, right? And if y'all want to know how we got here, watch my first 3 episodes to catch up. But I'll give you guys a summary. I have a playlist. Y'all go to my playlist and y'all can watch all 3 episodes before that. But I'll give you guys a brief summary. In episode 1, Goku and Superman both landed on the Kent farm and were raised together, and eventually Goku ran away from home to go on a journey by himself to get as strong as his older brother Clark. And on his way out, he found a green rock that came from space that he ended up giving to a teenage Lex Luthor, who was running away from his abusive father. Right, then we get to episode 2. Goku learned how to box with Black Cat and also got hired by Lex Luthor years later to track down a piece of Kryptonite using a special radar that was given to him, and the radar ends up taking him to the home of the Amazons, Themyscira, where Goku becomes best friends with the young Wonder Woman, and they spar and end up teaming up to take down Giganta. Then we get to episode 3. Goku travels to Atlantis and gets into an altercation with Aquaman that they eventually resolve, but unbeknownst to them, Ocean Master, aka Aquaman's brother, releases the imprisoned Demon King Piccolo from the ocean to wreak havoc on the surface. By the way, go run up them views on those videos, man. How we go from 2,000 to 200 views, man? Come on now. But anyway, man, without further ado, let's get into episode 4. Right? So here we go. Goku checks his radar after adjusting his jetpack and finds out that his next adventure will be somewhere in the mountains, because that's where the Kryptonite is located according to the radar. So he decides to take the scenic route and fly around the clefts sightseeing until he eventually sees a long staircase that leads into the mountains, and Goku decides to travel up the stairway for some exercise instead of just flying above it all. So he runs up the mountain stairs while wondering where these steps are going to eventually lead him. And he's surprised whenever he makes it to the top to see masked people practicing with swords, looking at him like he was some sort of intruder. And he thought to himself, I gotta stop meeting people like this. But Goku was happy he brought his staff along with him this time, and he takes a defensive stance and smiles at his hostile audience. He finally remembers being trained in weapons mastery by the Amazons on Themyscira. Then they charge each other ready for combat, and Goku starts to pick them apart with his staff, using some of his non-human strength on his attacker since he was being vastly outnumbered. And the skirmish is intense but brief because the masked attackers were forced to halt when an older gentleman in green gave the order and stepped in front of them all. And Goku kept his stance defensive just in case this was some type of trick. Yet, to his surprise, the man was polite in his speech and introduced himself as Raj Al Ghul, the leader of these warriors, although he was sure to not mention to the team that they were the League of Assassins. He didn't want to mention that to him just yet. He then asked Goku what brought him to this location, and Goku remains honest and tells the leader that he was brought here seeking a green space rock with his radar, and Raj Al Ghul is familiar with the item he was describing. The visage of the Elder darkens as he tells Goku that he can have the object that he seeks if he decides to train with the League for at least 1 year, because he saw talent in the young teen after watching him defend himself against his men, and Goku accepts the offer. Meanwhile, elsewhere on Earth, Superman's face is pelted by snow as he travels through the frozen tundra with purpose on his mind. He finally lands at his destination and travels down to his lair. The place was none other than the Fortress of Solitude that he had recently discovered in his young adult life. There he asked the supercomputer to give him information on the green crystal that weakened him in his last major battle, and the AI informs him that the crystal he was asking about was none other than Kryptonite, and that it could be fatal to Kryptonians like himself. And then it started to give him a whole dossier of information on Kryptonite and what it is and what it does to Kryptonians. Superman was surprised by this new information, but he was also wondering who could have gotten their hands on the Kryptonite and why were they after him. We then cut to Lex Luthor, who was conversing with his servant Mercy Graves about the failures of Metallo, and Lex is unbothered by the end results. He tells Mercy that Metallo was simply a water tester, and now they know that the Kryptonite really works on Superman, which is a success in its own, because now they know that it can hurt him. We then jump back to Goku, who has been vigorously training with Ra's al Ghul in the League of Assassins, and Ra's is impressed by his new student's progress. Ra's had told Goku that, yes, he was good with the weapon, but he must learn to become a weapon himself to truly master combat. Goku had also trained with the two daughters of his teacher, who were also impressed with his progress. Talia was one of his daughters, and she looked at Goku like he was a little brother, even though she had only known him for less than a year. And Nissa looked at him as a brother too in her own way, but she was harsher in their sessions, to the point where sometimes Goku thought she was really trying to take his life away from him in their matches. Finally, the year came to pass, and Goku had got some serious gains in martial arts, and he also gained a higher battle IQ. And Ra's was a man of his word and gave Goku the Kryptonite reward, and had a feeling that Goku would end up returning later on in life, in the future, and he hoped that he would join the League someday. But before Goku could walk away to deliver his rock to Lex, Ra's al Ghul made a request to Goku, and he stopped, looked at him, and was interested. Ra's told Goku that one of his daughters had gone missing in Gotham City, and he wanted him to look into that matter personally, as Nissa was on another mission entirely. And that's what he learned, that Talia Ghul has been missing for at least a month. Goku flew back to LexCorp as fast as possible after he agreed to assist his master Ghul. He decided to visit Lex first and ask him for directions to Gotham City, because he had no idea where that was. And while Goku was on the way, Lex had another uninvited guest appear at his office, and that visitor was an unhappy Metallo, who wanted his revenge on Lex for turning him into a metal monster under the guise of curing his illness. Goku arrives back at the headquarters of his employer, only to find Mercy on the ground with broken glass everywhere, and an audience of civilians wondering what was going on, and Mercy tells Goku that Lex was in trouble. Goku arrives just in time to see Metallo holding onto the collar of his boss, and he tells the unknown cyborg to put him down with gritted teeth. Metallo drops the rich man and turns to face the teen, staring at him menacingly, and tells the boy that he should get out of here while he still can, because he's about to do the city a favor by throwing Lex out of this skyscraper window. Goku asks his friend Lex if he was okay, and Lex decides to spin a half-truth story. He tells Goku that Metallo is a machine gone rogue, and that he was being powered by the Kryptonite within his chest. So that was his weakness, and Metallo was enraged by these words and lunged at Lex, because he wasn't being completely forthright about how Metallo became Metallo. As he rushed at Lex, Goku closes his eyes and remembers Raz's training, and slows his breathing as he turns himself into a living weapon that will determine this battle with one strike. So as Metallo lunges after Lex for his manipulative words, Goku lunges at the heart of Metallo at the same exact moment, and time seems to slow as they approach their targets, as they each approach their targets. Just for Metallo's face to be left staring at an empty chest cavity, as Goku has successfully removed his Kryptonite core from his cybernetic body, which caused his systems to start shutting down. Goku held the green heart in his hand while asking Lex if he was okay, unaware of why Metallo was truly targeting Lex, and the millionaire simply thanks Goku for his assistance in shutting down a rogue prototype model. Goku hands over all the Kryptonite of his person and begins to walk away until he remembers that he needed to ask Lex a question for help. So he asks Lex how can he get to Gotham City, and Lex decides to upgrade his radar and turn it into a GPS system for cities as well, and not just a Kryptonite tracker. And that's where we're going to be ending things for this episode. But here's a preview of what the next episode is going to be. The next episode is going to be Batman Finds Goku in Gotham, Episode 5. So stay tuned and don't forget to leave a like on your way out. Peace. Alright, so we're back with episode 5 of Goku and DC Remastered. And in this episode, Goku travels to Gotham City to look for Talia Ghul, who had gone missing. And he ends up running into Catwoman along the way. So let's get into it. If you guys want to catch up on this story, just go to my playlist, Goku and DC Remastered, to understand how we got here. So let's get into it. Yeah, you can go to my playlist. Just real quick summary. Goku and Clark Kent, Goku and Kal-El, Goku and Superman were raised together by the Kents, so they're brothers in this scenario. And he went to visit Wonder Woman on Themyscira, and they became good friends. He got into a confrontation with Aquaman on another episode. They ended up clearing that out, and he showed him Atlantis. And then in the last episode, Goku trained with the League of Assassins, where Talia Ghul went missing. And y'all can go check all that out in the playlist. So without further ado, let's get into it. So anyway, let's continue. Lex updates Goku's radar to double as a GPS system for pinpoint locations and puts in the coordinates for Gotham City for the teen, and Goku is grateful for his assistance. And as the Saiyan leaves the door, Lex Luthor decides that it is time for him to work on his own suit of armor with all the Kryptonite that Goku had been collecting for him. It should be more than enough to start the process, so he begins to make some calls. Meanwhile, Bruce Wayne sits in the depths of his mansion lair, pondering his last visitor. For you see, Talia was in Gotham and she came to see him. He figured that she was on a mission to take someone's life in this city, and he planned to stop her. But she had told him that she wanted to talk to him at the pier. But when he had showed up, she wasn't there to be found, and he thought that that was suspicious and unlike her. But Batman wasn't the only person in Gotham looking for Talia, because Goku had just arrived in the Dark Knight City. And as the teen looked around his new surroundings, he could instantly see that this city was full of corruption in Gotham. And Goku didn't make himself a stranger in his search and asked everyone who was anyone if they had come across Talia or seen her. Then he gave them a description of what she looked like. But Goku turned out wasn't having any luck finding his friend. Alright, he was falling on dead ends. However, his prying wasn't going unnoticed, because some men in black suits approached a black masked individual to tell him that a teenage boy was asking too many questions about the woman, and the woman we know to be Talia, and the man in the black mask simply said that he would handle it. And even though Goku wasn't a superhero, the Kent family had taught both him and Clark right from wrong, and one of the things they taught him that was morally wrong was that stealing from people was wrong and the wrong way to go about living. Right? So they told him stealing was wrong. And he was about to witness a thief in action when he heard a man point at a running person in all black, pleading for someone to stop the culprit who had stole from them. So Goku decided to get involved and began to chase after the slender figure in all black who was running down an alley. And the thief took notice that they were being pursued and decided to climb onto the rooftops. But Goku's speed was superhuman, and eventually he caught up to the suspect and got in front of them, and they ran right into him like he was a wall and bounced on the ground like a basketball. Goku looked down at the culprit with a frown and told the individual that stealing from people was wrong, and the thief was revealed to be a woman. The thief was revealed to be Selena Kyle, but before she could respond to Goku's critique, he leaped off the building with the diamonds she stole, and Selena thought he was finna take some serious fall damage, but he didn't even miss a step when he hit the ground to return the gems to the man she took them from. Goku returned the jewels to the owner, who was talking to men in all black suits that thanked Goku for his courageous act, and Goku left back on his mission. Selena was now following the teen who had ruined her heist with curiosity on her face, wondering who and what he was, because he clearly wasn't just some regular teen. And she could also tell that he wasn't from Gotham because he looked like he was lost, and then suddenly he stopped in an alley. Goku surprised her when he started talking. "Why are you following me?" Selena was surprised her presence was known and she could flee the scene, but she already knew the team was faster than her, so she decided to step into view and reveal herself. She tells Goku that all he really did was take from a thief to give back to a robber. The guy she took from was a fence for a group that did robberies on jewelers. Goku didn't believe her words, so she had to show him a newspaper which corroborated her statement along with pictures of the men who had done the heist. And then she showed him footage of her tracking the robbers to the fence to steal from them. So she figured she might as well steal from the robbers. Goku processed all this information and decided to go teach those guys a lesson for what they had done, and Selena was surprised he was about to just walk back into a room full of gangsters, so she decided to suit up and follow the boy she believed was currently on a suicide mission. Goku punches the door open with enough force to get everyone inside's attention, and they were left in shock as one draws his pistol. Goku takes full advantage of this and rushes the armed men in a blitz of speed and precision, effortlessly taking down the lounge full of Gotham goons, but he missed a gunman that came from the back. Pause. But Catwoman makes her entrance known by kicking the crook in the face with her heeled feet, catching the attention of Goku. Goku smirks at his new company and thanks the woman for her assistance, but he assures her that he wasn't in any danger from that gunman. Goku then smirks when he notices that the young woman dressed in the cat suit smells just like that Selena girl he met on the rooftops, and Selena puts a finger over her mouth to shush him for revealing her identity in the room full of groggy goons, while she also was weirded out by the keenness of the teen's nose. But before they could exit the scene, a new challenger made his entrance in the building. Catwoman recognized this man as Firefly, and the masked man in all black told Goku that he had been hired to burn him out for asking too many questions about a missing woman. Goku noticed that comment and knew he was talking about Talia, and immediately got angry and asked for her location, but Firefly simply raised his flamethrower forward towards him. Goku crouches beneath the blaze, and the fire quickly interacts with the liquor of the bar behind him, which sends the whole building up in flames. Catwoman decided the scene was so hot and she was about to skedaddle until she heard a crying girl. Actually, I skipped a part, my bad. Goku remains on defense and realizes that the fire's temperature is hotter than ordinary, but he needs to disarm this man so he can tell him where Talia is. Catwoman decided the scene was too hot and was about to skedaddle until she heard a crying girl holding onto a toy pleading for help because Firefly's fire had spread to the building next to it, and Catwoman decided it was time to help the people that were trapped inside. Goku, however, was taking some damage as the Firefly zipped through the burning bar while he was napalming the area. But as the arsonist landed on a kindled desk, Goku closed his eyes and remembered his training with Raj Al Ghul. And as the building burned, time slowed in Goku's mind, and Goku once again remembered his lessons. He became the weapon rather than the wielder of the weapon to truly master combat in the heat of battle, just like Raj had taught him. Then he opened his eyes. His eyes suddenly snap open and he lunges forward, predicting Firefly's next movements, and he comes down with a strong backhand to the flamethrower, and his other hand wraps onto the neck of his disarmed enemy. And as the building began its final collapse, Goku tightened his grip on his enemy and demanded him to tell the Saiyan where Talia al Ghul was located, and Firefly said he didn't know where she was, but he could tell Goku who it was that hired him to get rid of him, and that it was none other than the gangster that is known as Black Mask, who Goku didn't know. The building explodes as Goku exits, and Catwoman can see the fierce look in the teen's eyes as he walks towards the coordinates of Black Mask that Firefly had gave him, not even saying a word to her as he walked past because he was a man on a mission. But Goku's actions were not going unnoticed because Bruce Wayne watched an image of him exiting the burning building next to Catwoman on some of his hidden cameras, and he planned to find out who was this teen causing havoc in Gotham. And that's where we're going to end it. So in the next video, it'll be Goku goes against Batman, due to a misunderstanding. And then we're going to go back to King Piccolo being released, which I revealed in the Aquaman video. So stay tuned, man. Gone. Peace. All right, we're back with episode 6 of Goku and DC Remastered. And in this episode, Goku will be butting heads with the Dark Knight himself, the Dark Knight of Gotham, the Batman. Alright, so let's get into it. If you guys want to catch up on the other parts, just go to my Goku and DC Remastered playlist to catch up with the previous parts. Alright, and as you guys know, I'll do a little quick recap again. Goku and Superman were raced together and they both landed at the Kent farm. Goku got hired by Lex Luthor to hunt down for some Kryptonite. He ended up meeting Wonder Woman. Then he ended up meeting Aquaman. And then he ended up training with the Raj Al Ghul family. And then he met Catwoman. And in this episode, he's going to be butting heads with Batman. So once again, you guys go to this playlist to learn more about that. Anyway, let's get into it. Let's get back where we left off. Right? So Selena is left in the dark and what's going on as Goku walks past her without saying a word, with a serious look on his face, and she wonders where he is off to next. Goku had disappeared from her view, and she wondered if she should follow after him, but before she could make her decision, she was confronted by the arrival of Batman. She smirks at the Caped Crusader before telling him that he's a little late to the party because the fun is already over, but the vigilante's face remained unamused as he berated Catwoman for involving a teenager into her life of crime. Catwoman knew he was talking about the boy she had just met and got defensive, telling him, "For your information, I just met that kid today, and he didn't come here to steal. He actually came here to take out some robbers." Batman's eyebrow raised behind his black cowl at the statement, and Selena picked up on it, so she told Batman that she thinks that kid he was asking about was one of those rare metahumans they've been putting on the news because he took down some gangsters and even Firefly with not much of a problem. Batman, however, looked at the burnt ruins of the buildings behind Catwoman where the unconscious robbers had been burned and told Selena that the boy she involved herself with was clearly reckless and might be a danger to the city of Gotham. Batman then asks where the boy went, and Catwoman shrugs her shoulders and tells the hero she has no clue, and then Batman sees Firefly on the ground and wakes him up forcefully to beat some information out of him. Pause. We then cut back to Goku, who had just arrived to the building Firefly had told him about, where this Black Mask scoundrel was located, and the team was not in the mood for talking, so he knocked out a security guard and punched through a door that was locked, which ended up triggering an alarm for the building. Black Mask was starting to sweat through his mask as he watched Goku dismantle his goons like they were plastic toy soldiers and decided to point his grenade launcher at his door entrance. And eventually Goku makes it to his destination and forces himself through the metal door. And whenever he barges in, Black Mask fires his rocket-propelled grenades at the young intruder. Goku crouches down to duck the explosive projectile, and it detonates behind him, and he looks at the shooter with a menacing stare. And faster than Black Mask could even react, Goku lunges at the crime leader and grips his suit while threatening him, and Black Mask wanted to live, so he decided to tell this teen where Talia was located because he didn't want to have his mask crushed in and caved into his skull by this strong teen boy. Goku had finally found the actual location of his friend. Now he just hoped she was still alive, and he wondered why she was taken away in the first place. But as soon as he exited the building, a boomerang-like projectile buried itself in the ground right in front of him, and he looked up to see a man staring down at him, dressed like some sort of bat. Batman's deep voice reaches down to the teen as he tells Goku that they need to talk about his recent actions. But Goku simply narrows his eyes at the Caped Crusader and tells him that he doesn't have time to chat with his new visitor. Batman remembers what Catman said about this boy possibly being one of those rare metahumans, so he will need to be careful with subduing his opponent. But he felt like he had to before this boy got into any more trouble and put more civilian lives at risk on his unknown quest. Batman decides to make the first move and throws down a smoke bomb to appear out of sight, and Goku tries to track him through the smoke, but his figure is already out of his line of sight. Bruce takes advantage of the confusion, activates his thermal lenses, and flanks the right of his opponent and sends a left hook to the face of his adversary, but to his surprise, the attack had little to no effect. Goku was becoming more annoyed by the second, and he really didn't have time for this, so he decided to use some of his unusual strength, to push Batman into a nearby wall. Batman's padding cushioned the impact, however, and he rebounded from the collision with a new gadget drawn. He activated his shock fist to the high voltage setting and sprinted back towards Goku, who was surprised he was still conscious after his hard push into that wall. But what surprised him even more was the pain he felt from the electric blow to his midsection. Now he was going to take this fight more seriously, because this man had tricks up his sleeve, and the two warriors took battle stances and narrowed their eyes. The real battle began, the two closed the distance. Then, even though Batman was now able to damage his opponent, Goku's speed was clearly superior because he was dodging most of the Dark Knight's strikes. Eventually, Goku grabbed Batman and threw him forward, but the vigilante used his grappling hook to land on the roof of a building, and Goku ends up staring at the masked man who occupied the roof, and he came to the decision that the next time he came down there, he was going to knock him out with a calculated strike. But in Batman's mind, his wheels were turning, and he had his own plan to finish this fight. He reached for one of his batarangs and threw it at the teen in orange, and Goku caught the device out of the air with relative ease, which is exactly what Batman planned on him to do, and he detonated the device, blowing smoke in Goku's face, which disoriented him, and Batman took this opportunity to rush him with his shock fist and start a finisher combo on his opponent. Goku's pressure points were being targeted with the high voltage of electricity, which was causing him to stagger and almost collapse, and it was looking like Bruce was about to finally subdue the other fighter. But as Goku's vision was fading to black, he remembered his time with the Ghoul family, who had taught him so much and trained him as if he was a member of their own clan, and how Talia treated him like a brother his entire stay there, and now she was captured and needed his help more than ever. So he suppressed his pain with rage, and his eyes began to glow red, just like his brother Clark's, and he pointed his face toward his unsuspecting attacker. He yells enough and blasts Batman into a trash pile with enough power to leave his body smoking, using his unperfected key vision. Goku got his bearings and uttered a loud, "Now I have to go find Talia before it's too late," and he ran to the direction that Black Mask had told him about, and unbeknownst to him, Batman heard him talking about Talia, and the Dark Knight was glad he had planted a tracker on the team while they were fighting, just in case he got away from him. Goku was now at the coordinates that Black Mask had given him, and he was looking around for Talia, and to his surprise, he actually found her, bound to a chair in the center of a room. So he ran up to her so that he could release her. But he was blindsided by someone else inside the building and sent into some wooden chairs. Goku got back up to see a burly man with green skin telling him that he was glad that he came there because maybe Talia will tell him what he wants to know when Goku's life is at stake. Goku was confused on who this was, so he decided to introduce himself as Drum, son of the demon. Goku was tired from the past fights he'd been in that night, but he wasn't backing down, so he told Drum he would stop him here and now, and the green man simply smiled. Then Drum rushed Goku in a blur faster than he looked and punched him back into the ground, laughing as the teen struggled to get back up. But before he could continue the torment, Batman had arrived on the scene to free Talia, having heard everything from the tracker he had placed on Goku. Batman hurled a volley of batarangs at Drum, who easily avoided the weapons, but in actuality, he was aiming for Talia's direction so that she could cut herself free from the bindings. Goku and Batman were both tired from their previous battle, and Drum planned to take full advantage of this fact and began his assault on the two warriors. Scratches and bruises were riddled on the two warriors as they struggled against the giant green terror who had just sent them through some drywall of the abandoned building. As they caught their breath in the adjacent room, Batman realizes they'll need a plan to survive this, so he looks at Goku and tells him that in order for them to win, they will need to work together. Batman will distract him with his smoke grenades and other gadgets, and Goku should use his superhuman strength to hit him hard enough to bring him down, and the pair agree with the plan. So when Drum walks through the hole, Batman throws a smoke bomb below his feet, and Goku runs on the wall to get sight of the giant through the smoke, and delivered a double axe handle strike to the top of his head, knocking him on his knees. But before Batman could interrogate Drum, he was killed by Talia's blade, and Batman was very angry by the action. But Talia interrupted, and she told both of them that the whole world was in danger and that they needed to tell her father that the Demon King Piccolo has returned. And meanwhile, in Piccolo's lair, Piccolo's other son, Tambourine, came to inform his father that Drum had been killed and failed to get the answers they wanted, but King Piccolo told Tambourine that it didn't matter because they were going to follow them back to Ra's al Ghul's lair. The old king began to laugh maniacally, saying that soon his youth would be restored by the Lazarus pit, and the world would once again feel his full power. And that's where we're going to be ending this episode, so be sure to leave a like and subscribe if you liked it. More coming soon. I'll catch y'all later. Peace. Back with another episode. Let's get straight to it. So, Talia. Oh, this is what the episode is called. Goku and Batman team up, by the way. Anyway. So, Talia tells Batman and Goku that an ancient threat has been freed from his prison and plans to take over the world. And it's revealed to be the Demon King. And Batman and Goku have more questions, but she tells them that there is no time, and she removes her sword from the demon spawn, and they head off. So the company of three travel to the headquarters of the League of Assassins with haste, and Ra's al Ghul is proud of his student, telling him that he knew that he would bring her back home safely. And Goku smiles, but the mood becomes serious whenever Talia steps forward and gets straight to the point and tells her father that the Demon King Piccolo has returned, and the leader of the assassins hides the feeling of dread and simply nods his head at the statement. Goku asks the pair who Piccolo was, and Roz begins the backstory of who the Demon King was. Long ago, most of the earth was terrorized by the green demon known as Piccolo, until the old king of Atlantis, Ra's al Ghul, and the guardian of earth joined forces to seal the demon away, and the Demon King was sealed in a container that was taken down to the depths of the deep, and his name and terror was forgotten by this world in its history. Right? After that story, Batman emerges from the shadows and tells Ra's that he will put a stop to the demon, and Ra's smiles at the statement and tells him that he has full confidence in two of his greatest students. Goku is surprised by that comment and looks at Batman with his mouth open. Wait, that must mean you're that Bruce guy that came before me that Talia told me all about. Batman removes his cowl and shows his face to Goku, and he sees him for the first time, and the two compliment each other on the battle they engaged in back in Gotham. But Batman also admonishes Goku on his reckless actions that put others' lives in danger as a result of him going all out on those gangsters in a civilian crowded area. Just then, Talia joins in on their conversation and tells Goku that she would like to talk to Bruce alone, and the teen nods his head and tells Talia he's glad to see her again, and then he walks out of the room. Goku reflects on the battle with Bruce, where he was on the receiving end of those shock fists, and wonders how many other gadgets did he have up his sleeve, and how effective would they be in a rematch if they had a battle part 2. Goku then has his mind travel to the next threat he would encounter, which was the ancient evil King Piccolo. Goku wondered just how strong he was and where he was going to reveal himself. But to his surprise, their meeting was actually going to come sooner than he thought, because 3 green humanoids just appeared at the gate entrance. Piccolo had Tambourine follow Goku, Batman, and Talia to this location, so he would be closer to the Lazarus Pit, and he thanked Goku for bringing him directly to the League of Assassins, and the teen cracked his knuckles ready for war. Piccolo tells Tambourine to handle the boy and Symbol to take care of the assassins, and while he would search for the pit, the trio began their assignments respectively. Goku tries to go after Piccolo, but Tambourine steps in and cuts off the teen and tells Goku that he will be his opponent instead, and the Saiyan squares up. Nissa was training her faction when Symbol decided to fly through her men like a strong gust of wind, but Nissa remained fearless as she prepared to defend her home from the Green Fiend. Talia and Bruce were in her quarters whenever they heard all of the commotion, and they came to the realization that Piccolo had brought the fight to them. Goku is fighting Tambourine to a standstill currently. He was clearly stronger than the demon spawn, but Tambourine was more agile, using his wings to his advantage to avoid anything hurled his way, to avoid any serious damage. And after a little while of the cat and mouse chase, Batman and Talia showed up to take the fight off Goku's hands, and Talia told Goku to go after Piccolo and help out her father to make sure he didn't make it to the Lazarus Pit. Goku ran through the chaotic environment with one purpose in mind, which was to stop Piccolo, but before he could enter the sanctuary, he was stopped by Symbol. Goku didn't have time for these distractions, but before he could react, he was stopped by Nissa Al Ghul and her elite faction, who informed him that they would take care of Symbol, and Goku nods his head and rushes on forward. Piccolo stood in front of Roz with a wicked smirk on his face, telling the assassin that he looked even younger than him thanks to the Lazarus Pit, and if he will tell him where it is, he'll destroy the League last during his conquest, whenever he takes over the world once more. But Roz informs the demon that there will never be another reign as long as he lives, and the pair begin to commence battle. Goku arrives and sees his master on the losing end of the battle and decides to jump into the mix to shift the direction of the tide. The two battle fiercely, with Goku having a slight advantage in the exchange, and the Withered King was starting to get frustrated with where this battle was going. So he sends a ki blast towards the direction of the injured Roz, and Goku disengaged from Piccolo to move his teacher out of the way in time, and by the time he looked back up, his opponent was gone. Batman then arrived shortly after at this time, apparently victorious in his fight with Tambourine, just in time to see Goku helping up Roz, and the man tells the both of them that they have to hurry before Piccolo can reach the Lazarus Pit, so the two warriors head towards the destination. They make it to the lair just in time to see that they were too late and that Piccolo was emerging from the Lazarus pit, younger than ever before, back to his youth. Piccolo was happy to finally be back in his prime and couldn't wait to wreak havoc on this world again through domination. But first, he had some visitors he wanted to step on just to show off his might. Goku and Batman squared up against the rejuvenated Demon King, who was already standing triumphant as if he had already won. And then the hell began, and Piccolo rushed forward, aiming for the weakest of the two. But Goku was able to act fast enough, and he pushed Bruce out of the way and took the jab, which sent him through the temple wall. Batman started using his gadgets as soon as he recovered from Goku's push, and Piccolo was amused by the metal objects that only tickled his skin when they made contact with his flesh. Until one of the batarangs exploded in his face and obscured his vision. And at this time, Goku blitzed back through the wall and rushed the Green Tyrant that was shrouded in the smoke that was left behind. And he delivered a successful strike to the jaw of the demon. Which managed to draw blood, but the king smiles at the delivery and catches the arm of his attacker. He then begins to pummel the team with his other hand like a rag doll, and Batman prepares a counterattack. So Goku ends up biting down on Piccolo's hand, which frees him from the grasp, and Batman detonates a bomb below Piccolo, sending him deep below the temple, giving them a chance to breathe and come up with another plan. The duo catch their breath, and Batman is trying to think of something quick before the Demon King comes back to finish him off as they exit the temple. The headquarters of the assassins was severely damaged and many had fallen, but the sons of the demon had been defeated, with Symbol being killed and Tambourine captured. Yet the real threat still remained. Piccolo emerged, annoyed, hovering over his enemies, before a sadistic smile appeared on his face, and he stated that he was going to enjoy squashing these bugs that were below him. Batman and Goku stood defiant as they locked on the demon in the sky, ready to fight to their last breath. Goku didn't waste any time and rushed the villain as soon as he landed, but the Green Man was too fast for the team, and he avoided most of his attacks, and the ones that actually managed to land didn't have enough power behind them to make a difference. And Batman's gadgets were being treated like they were chew toys to the Green Titan as he flicked the equipment away as if they were pesky insects. That is until Batman pulled out his sound cannon. He told his allies to cover their ears and activated the system, which was surprisingly effective because Piccolo yelled in pain from the damage due to his sensitive ears. Piccolo found the source of his stress and fired a concentrated eye beam at the contraption, which destroyed Batman's device. And while he was distracted, Goku put all of his energy into an eye blast of his own and fired a beam that pushed the Namekian back into the temple, causing the walls to collapse on the Demon King. And the group watched the damage with angst, wondering if they had been successful in their combined effort at defeating the Fiend, and Goku fell to the floor almost completely out of energy. But before anyone could celebrate, Piccolo emerged from the ruins unamused from the performance of his enemies, and he decided enough was enough. So he decided to backhand Batman and beat the down Goku to a bloody pulp to take out his frustrations. He finished off his assault and kicked Goku against a rock and prepared to fire an explosive blast that would completely disintegrate the boy before him. But the blast was blocked by the body of someone else, and Goku looked up to see that Raj Al Ghul of all people had jumped in the way to take the brunt of the blast, to everyone's surprise, disintegrating him from view. Piccolo laughed at the act and stated that the Lazarus pit couldn't even be able to repair those ashes, and Goku told Piccolo that he would pay for that with his life, but the demon simply laughed and kicked him off the mountain. He then looked at everyone else and said that he would leave them alive so they could see that they had failed to stop the rise of his new empire, and he flew off back towards North America. Batman and Talia went to look for Goku's body and found him barely holding on to consciousness, and Goku looked at Bruce and told him to take his radar that he had left in his jet and use it to find a place known as Atlantis, and asked Aquaman for help in defeating the tyrant. And Batman nodded his head, trusting the request, and afterwards Goku's eyes closed. Batman didn't have time to try to recover and headed to his jet, knowing he had a job to do, and told Talia that he was going to stop Piccolo. The daughters of Al Ghul watched him fly away, and after he was gone, they looked at each other, knowing what they were going to do next. They were going to put Goku in the Lazarus pit. And that's where we're going to be ending things for this episode. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Till I'm back for more. Peace. Alright, so Goku and Batman save the city from Piccolo, episode 8. Let's get to it. So, Talia and Batman start the process of carrying Goku back up the mountain. Talia and Nissa start the process of carrying Goku back up the mountain to heal his wounds with the Lazarus pit as the teen remains unconscious, barely clinging to life. Meanwhile, Batman was soaring through the air, following the coordinates Goku gave him, searching for Atlantis before King Piccolo wreaked too much havoc on the Earth. He finally lands his plane as he arrives at the location and deploys a mini submarine he has so he can travel below the depths in search for this Atlantis. Batman makes it to Atlantis and is surprised that it actually existed, but he is soon greeted by soldiers who threaten him and they tell him that he needs to. And he tells them that he needs to speak to Aquaman, but they ignore his request and push their spears closer to him until Batman mentions the name Piccolo, and the soldiers lower their weapons and make haste to find Aquaman. Aquaman is surprised to hear about the Demon King's return and wonders how he was freed from his prison, knowing that no human could have made it that far below the ocean, and then he realizes it must have been a fellow Atlantean. But he didn't have time to find out who it was because he remembered how dangerous Piccolo was to Atlantis according to the stories from his father in the legends. So Aquaman then exits to meet Batman and ask him how did he find their home, and he tells him that Goku sent him to ask for help. And then Aquaman asked the Dark Knight where his friend Goku was now, and the Bat dropped his gaze and told the king that he might not make it because he was severely injured fighting Piccolo, and Aquaman was angered and saddened by that information. Piccolo, meanwhile, had decided to start his dominion in Central City and began to announce his return to an observing news crew, and law enforcement began to arrive to extinguish the existential threat. Piccolo would make an example of those that opposed his rule and began his destruction of the area. Batman and Aquaman arrive on the scene, and Piccolo turns around to see his opponents and mocks Batman on his first failed attempt at stopping him, reminding him of his failures. Then he locks eyes with Aquaman and recognizes the trident he was holding and comes to the conclusion that this must be the son of his former enemy that helped imprison him all those years ago. Aquaman wasn't in the mood for small talk, so he decided it was time for violence and rushed his adversary with killer intent, wanting to stop the Fiend before his conquest ended up ultimately leading to Atlantis. Batman watched the clash outwardly, but inwardly the wheels were turning in his head on how he could cripple this city's threat. Piccolo tells Aquaman that he is clearly weaker than his father and that Atlantis will fall because of their weak leader, and this frustrates the Aquatic King and makes his technique sloppy, which causes the villain to take advantage and send him into nearby buildings. Meanwhile, Goku is placed into the mystic waters of the Lazarus pit to benefit from its healing properties, and his wounds begin to close. And while that was happening, he was in a dreamlike state. However, Goku was having a conversation with the presumed spirit of Raj Al Ghul. His former master was telling Goku that he must be the one to put an end to Piccolo once and for all, and that unlike his other student, he must do what it takes to save the Earth. Goku was confused by his statement and wondered what Raj meant by this sentence, but everything began to fade to white. And Goku emerged out of the green water stronger than ever and revitalized from the Lazarus pit that he had been sunk in. And he doesn't waste any time and asks where Piccolo was ready to settle the score. Ready to settle the score with the Demon King. Meanwhile, while the battle raged on in Central City, Batman was busy rescuing civilian stragglers from the chaotic scene of the Titans clashing in this urban area. Aquaman was being put on the back foot because he was out of his element, and Piccolo was taking advantage of his novice opponent. And then suddenly, the sky rattled with thunder, and it began to rain, and this time it was Aquaman's time to smile at his opponent. And Piccolo asked him why he was amused, and Aquaman told his opponent that he is stronger in the water. Alright, that the water makes him stronger. So, round 2 was going to be a different ball game as the Battle of the Kings continued. And Batman started turning his vehicle system on, trying to calibrate a plan B just in case something bad went wrong. Messing with his sonic sound system. Goku was frustrated that his jetpack had been damaged, so he had to wait in a plane to get to the action, but the team was almost there at the location. Back to the fight, Piccolo was impressed with Aquaman's strength. Strength increased, but the battle wasn't over yet because the Demon King began to speak on how he still had the advantage in this fight. Because Aquaman might have gotten physically stronger than him, but his technique was still lacking as a martial artist, which gave him openings to exploit. Piccolo smiled to himself as he inwardly thought of his next course of action. The next time he saw an opening in his attack, he was going to give a severe wound to cripple Aquaman in the fight, and it looked like he was about to get his chance. But before he could capitalize, he was knocked back by Goku, who had arrived on the scene, healed from his injuries, and madder than ever as he glared at the green fiend before him. Piccolo frowned at the interruption and said under his breath that he should have destroyed the Lazarus pit before he left. But it didn't matter because now he could finish off what he started. But Goku told the tyrant that the only thing that is finished was his empire. Goku and Aquaman nodded at each other, and then they charged right to left at the demonic Namekian, wanting to rush him on both sides, and Piccolo braced himself for the upcoming assault. The duo were starting to worry the Demon King with their combined strength, so he knew that he would have to get one of them out of commission before they overwhelmed him in the battle. So he concentrates a blast, and it impacts the thigh of Aquaman, leaving him limping on one leg, which cripples him in the fight. This action enrages the Teen Saiyan even more, and he tells his enemy that he won't hurt any more of his friends, and he punches Piccolo through several vacant buildings. This action shakes the asphalt below. Piccolo doesn't even get the chance to catch his breath because Goku sprinted after his attack and was again right next to him, and Goku kicked him out of the building like a soccer ball. Piccolo rolls back and decides to fire an eye beam at his opponent, and Goku retaliates with an eye blast of his own, and when the energy collided, it melted the area around the blast radius. Piccolo was more winded in this battle than the refreshed Kakarot, and worry was creeping into his mind. In anger, he tells the boy that he and his friends are nothing more than a bunch of stubborn worms. And it's too bad that worms don't have the ability to fly. And then Piccolo flies into the skies to everyone's surprise and starts to charge explosive waves and sends them down at the city like he was dropping bombs down below. This action had the warriors fleeing from the devastation, and some civilians were even being vaporized from the bombardment. Aquaman had enough of this destruction and raised his trident to the sky and called upon the storms of Poseidon with his trident, and lightning began to assault the green man above in the sky. And while that was happening, a young Barry Allen was working on his latest project in Star Labs, refusing to evacuate from the news warnings in Central City. And at that time, he was struck by lightning, which zapped him into some chemicals. And then we jump back to the battle, and the lightning storm was proven to be effective on the Piccolo, and Goku wasn't going to let this opportunity go to waste, so he ran up a wall to deliver an axe handle strike to the back of the demon's head and sent him spiraling back down to the pavement. And he was too eager in his pursuit and almost got blasted because of it, but Batman pulled him out of the way with his grappling hook. Piccolo was over their little team up and was going to eliminate them one by one, so he fired an explosive wave at Aquaman first because he wouldn't be able to dodge the attack due to his injury, but Goku decided to get in the way with his arms crossed, taking the brunt of the attack, which caused some pretty serious damage. And Piccolo didn't waste any time and took back to the sky and prepared an attack that would vaporize all of them, but he never got to finish his plan because Batman activated his ultra sound waves that were even more intense than the last frequency attack, and this effect paralyzed the Demon King from being able to make any sudden movements, as his ears began to be overran by the noise. Batman told the both of them that this fight was over because he had been tuning the inside of his vehicle to the ultimate deterrent to their enemy with this frequency, and that eventually Piccolo will most likely pass out from the pain of this sonic attack. But Goku could see that the tyrant's head was slowly turning towards the machine, and he knew that he was about to fire an eye shot at the contraption, and then he remembered the dream he had in the Lazarus pit about how Roz told him to put an end to Piccolo once and for all with whatever it takes, so he decided to make the final decision in this battle before he got a chance to escape. He looked at Aquaman and told him that he should throw him with all his strength towards the demon, and he would go through him with his trident. And the King of Atlantis agreed, knowing that what was at stake. But Batman was adamantly against the plan, but the two ignored him. Aquaman threw Goku at neck-breaking speeds towards the subdued menace with his borrowed trident in hand, and Piccolo never got the chance to break free and was pierced straight through with no resistance. Piccolo had been vanquished on this day, but he would get his revenge through his son. So he spits out an egg and launches it out of the country to an unknown location and gives up the ghost. The city was saved and the survivors were relieved. It was over, but hostility was still in the air because Batman was furious at what had just occurred, and he stated that it seems that Ra's al Ghul is now training kid metahumans to be killers. But Goku knows he did the right thing, but Batman just simply didn't see it that way, and he left the scene swiftly. Aquaman, however, believed that his younger friend did the right thing and told him that Atlantis owes him for his contribution in keeping them safe from a menacing threat, and then the King of Atlantis limped towards the oceans, ready to recover from his injuries. Goku sat by himself, wondering what he was going to do next until he was approached by another green figure that looked a lot like the old version of Piccolo, who introduced himself as Kami. The aged guardian told Goku it was time to come with him, and Goku did because he remembered Ra's al Ghul telling them in the story that he teamed up with the King of Atlantis and the Guardian of Earth, and he realized that this must be the Guardian of the Earth that he was talking about. And while that was happening, Piccolo's egg had landed within the throne room of Black Adam, who decided he would raise this egg into Kahndaq society. And that is where we're going to be ending things. So like, comment, subscribe until the next time. Peace. Let me know what you guys think of this episode. Till the next one. Gone. Alright, so Goku meets Superman in Metropolis. Episode 9. So let's get straight to it. A quarter of Central City was in ruins and buildings were in rubble, and the streets were littered with broken glass and debris, while civilians were being evacuated from burning buildings and news helicopters were beginning to show up. And in the very center of all the devastation was a teenager in torn orange clothing from a battle. Goku was looking out at his hands, still shaking with adrenaline from the fight. He was replaying the events that had just transpired in his head. He mutters under his breath, "I had to finish him. I had to, or he would have destroyed everyone in this city." Goku's trance is broken when he is approached by Kami, and the team can see that this man looked eerily similar to Piccolo. Kami broke the silence and told Goku that he had done well as a young warrior, but his journey was far from over, and that he needed to follow him so he could learn more. Goku looked at Kami confused before he asked the Green Elder to identify himself, and he also wanted to know why he looked just like Piccolo. Kami simply replied by telling him that he would explain everything in time, but now he needed him to follow him. Goku decided to trust him, got a good vibe off of him, and agrees, but tells Kami that he needs to check on his friends first. Kami understands and puts his hand on Goku's shoulder and teleports them to the outskirts of the city, where Talia and Nissa Al Ghul were waiting. They were relieved that Goku had survived. They said in unison that they knew that Goku would be victorious, and they were filled with pride in their brother-like figure. Goku smiled weakly and told the pair that he had to put Piccolo to death, and Talia placed her hand on his face and moved his head up so he could see her face, and she told him, sometimes blood must be spilled for the greater good, and today he had proven himself to be a true warrior that slayed a demon. Nissa tells them both that a new threat will show up eventually and that the League of Assassins must regroup for repairs in the organization. Goku says his goodbyes to the both of them and says he must go to train with Earth's Guardian, and the sisters remember their father's stories about Kami, and they agree with his decision, and they approve of it as well. Talia says he should go, but he shouldn't forget that he will always have a home with them if he needs any assistance. And with that, Goku and Kami depart, and the sisters get back on their aircraft and exit as well, leaving Central City to begin its rebuilding process. Not soon after, Superman arrived on the scene, looking down at the carnage down below, wondering what happened, because he had just returned from saving some space explorers who were heading for an asteroid belt, and he arrived back to see an emergency alert in Central City, but arrived later on to see the destruction. So he decided the least he could do was help get the people to safety that were trapped under heavy debris from the carnage that had ensued. And when he was about to go back to Metropolis, he saw new camera footage of the battle that had taken place before he got there, and he was surprised to see his little brother Goku in the recording, teaming up with some merman and a man dressed up as a bat. But he didn't know how the fight ended, because after Batman activated his sound weapon, the camera was destroyed by the vibrations. We then cut to a teen Wonder Woman who was sitting down in a diner, aggravated because she had finally tracked down Barbara Minerva, who had stolen the dagger from the Amazons. But she lost her target once her enemy embraced the Cheetah curse and escaped. And as she was waiting on her food, the TV was on and revealed to her the same footage Superman was watching. And she recognized her friend Goku fighting against some green demon that was destroying the city. And she could only hope that her close friend came out of this engagement victorious. And a couple of days after the incident, Batman was in his lair deep in an investigation on Goku. After the event that transpired in Central City, he was analyzing footage of the battle to get a better understanding of Goku's martial arts and abilities. His butler Alfred makes an entrance with a tray of tea, saying, "Master Wayne, you've been at this for hours, and that it might be time for you to take a break." Batman remained focused on this footage and told Alfred that he couldn't afford to rest because this kid on screen was too dangerous, and there might be other metahumans like him that will pop up and decide to kill. And Goku could become the most dangerous of them all because not only does he have superhuman abilities, he was also trained by Raj Al Ghul himself, and he was already shown that he has the ability to kill. So I need to know everything about him, but I'm not finding much. Alfred sighs and begins to exit and says, "Well, perhaps you could consider that he's just a boy that had to make a very hard decision in the heat of battle, Master Bruce." But Batman doesn't reply, and he puts his data into a file labeled contingency plans. On another side of the world, back on Kahndaq, the egg that fell from the sky began to crack open, and Black Adam was watching the hatch intently as a small green figure emerged and revealed himself to the king. It was the junior spawn of the former Demon King Piccolo. The young Namekian looked at his observer with a mix of malice and curiosity. Black Adam smirks and tells the young terror that he will be his mentor, and together they will reshape the world, and a sinister smile appears on both of their faces. Goku had begun his training on the lookout and was determined to become stronger than ever before. But Kami told his pupil that strength was not just about physical power. It was about balance, discipline, and understanding everything that was around him and understanding everything that was around him. So Goku had much to learn. And then for a few years, Goku trained vigorously with Kami and Mr. Popo. In those years, Goku learned about meditation, ki control, and energy conservation, physical conditioning, and martial arts mastery, spiritual awareness, mind and body connections with emotional control, life lessons, and wisdom, mental resilience, battle strategy, like analyzing the weaknesses of his opponents and predicting opponents' movements. Even though he learned some of these things with Raj Al Ghul as well, he was just even more so getting into his bag. And the days seemed to fly as Goku soaked up all the knowledge until he was almost 17 years old, and Kami believed that he was ready to go back down to the normal world and wait for Piccolo to reveal himself in time, so he could put an end to the world's threat once and for all. So he bid his farewell to his sensei and hopped off the lookout, heading back down to Metropolis. The current skies of Metropolis were extremely dark and cracking the electricity as Superman faced off against Livewire, the newest metahuman in his rogue gallery that had the ability to control and manipulate electricity. The city was in complete blackout because the power grids were being drained by Livewire, who was sucking the city for fuel. Pause. Superman hovered in the air with his cape billowing as he began to try to reason with his opponent, telling Livewire that this wasn't the way and that she didn't have to do this. But Livewire's body continued to glow with more electricity, and she told Superman that she was going to siphon this city of everything it has and send Metropolis back to the Pilgrim days. And then she unleashed a massive bolt of electricity which made Superman dodge and weave through the air of the energy, and that's how this battle raged on, and Superman was trying to keep this conflict contained from causing too much collateral damage while he subdued Livewire. And meanwhile, Lois Lane was grounded and reporting the situation on an old-time camera that wasn't affected by the electrical currents. She was crouched behind a car with the camera capturing the action, and Superman was pleading for Lois to get to the scene because it was too dangerous. But Lois was as fearless as ever, and she wasn't going to miss Metropolis' story of the year. But the battle continued to intensify, and Livewire zaps were becoming more erratic, and she sent a surge to a nearby construction site, which caused equipment to shudder and groan until a steel beam from the upper floors dropped toward the ground, where Lois stood as Superman's eyes widened in horror as he noticed too late. He shouted for Lois and dove towards her, but was blasted back by bolts of electricity, which meant that he wouldn't be able to make it in time to save her. But just as the beam was about to crush the woman beneath, a blur of orange and blue appeared out of nowhere and caught the beam with one hand and held it effortlessly above his own head. And Lois was stunned as Goku grinned down at her, offering her hand with a lighthearted voice despite the current dire situation, which had the reporter blinking in disbelief before her reporter instincts kicked in as she asked the 17-year-old who he was, and Goku dropped the beam gently and scratched his head and told her that his name was Goku and that he was just passing through until he sensed trouble in the mist, and he was happy to arrive when he did so he could save him. Superman landed beside them with relief on his face, saying, "I can't believe it's you, Goku." Goku turned to Superman and his grin widened before he began to say, "Long time no see, Clark." But before he could get it out, Superman had quickly put his finger over his mouth, shushing him and telling him not to say his name out in public. Lois' brow furrowed at the pair, and Superman decided to introduce his brother to the reporter. He told Lois that Goku was an old friend of his, and then he told Goku that Lois was a reporter for the Daily Planet. Goku told her that it was nice to meet her, and Lois thanked him for saving her life, but the hero shrugged it off and said it was nothing. He just saw someone who needed help, and then he looked back at his brother and asked him, "So what's up with the angry electric lady?" And Superman gave him the rundown of who the villain was and what the situation was, the dire situation was as well. Goku cracked his knuckles and told Superman he was ready to help because he had been training for moments like this, and Superman hesitated, unsure if he should get his younger brother involved in his danger. But he decided to trust in his brother's ability. He accepted his help, but told him to stay on guard because Livewire was dangerous. Goku jumped up on top of a rooftop, which got Livewire's attention, and she turned to face him with a smirk, before tauntingly asking him if he was another freak playing superhero. And Goku smiled back at the surgeon female, and then he told her that he never really wanted to be a hero, and that was more of his brother's dream, but he couldn't sit back and let her do what she was doing. The villainess laughed and asked him what exactly was he going to do to stop her, and Goku replied that all he had to do was distract her long enough for Superman to get the water truck. And before she could process the admission, Superman dumped a copious amount of water on her, which messed with her conductivity momentarily, and Goku took a rubber tire and threw it at Livewire, which knocked her back into a park pond until she was unconscious, and Superman melted some rubber around her to cut her off her conductivity completely. And with her power suppressed, she was finally subdued, and the city began to calm, and the power grids began to restabilize. Superman complimented his performance, and Goku told Superman that he didn't even get to show him how much stronger he had gotten from all of his hard training. Superman told him that he was sure that he would see his strength sooner than later, but he was just glad to finally have his brother back in his life. As they walk, so the dust settled in Metropolis, and Superman and Goku were atop a rooftop talking about each other, and Superman told Goku that he had grown over the years, and Goku said he didn't grow enough because Clark was still taller than him, and they both laughed at the remark. And then Goku asked his older brother if he was going to introduce him to Lois as Clark Kent, as his long-lost brother. Superman told him that they could do that later, but now they should go back to the farm because their parents would love to see both of them together again. As they walk in the door, their mom hugs the both of them, and their father compliments them on how much they've grown. And Goku told them that he missed them. In the house, they had a big feast, and their conversation flowed with ease as Goku told stories about his adventures. And the evening wore on, the conversations got on lighter topics about back when Goku and Clark used to be on the farm growing up, and they talked about the lessons they learned from their parents, and it was a heartwarming reunion full of laughter, love, and old times. After the family gathering, Superman took Goku to his apartment in Metropolis, and the pair were currently on the top of the buildings watching the sun set over the city. As they gazed at the bustling streets below, the two had been catching up by talking about their previous adventures and villains they faced, and Clark had just finished telling Goku about the time he fought a being from the fifth dimension that could even warp reality itself when Goku's communicator began to buzz. Goku pulled out his device from his pocket, and he saw the caller on the screen was his old friend Lex Luthor. Old friend and sometimes boss Lex Luthor. He answered the phone and excitedly greeted his friend, saying, "What's up, Lex?" And Clark's ears perked up at the mention of that name, but he didn't interrupt the conversation, so he pretended to focus on the horizon, but he was inwardly listening intently. Lex's smooth voice was heard as he told Goku that it had been a while, and that he had saw his little escapade in Central City and was impressed as always. Goku simply told him that he did what he had to do, and Lex told his employee that he shouldn't be so modest, but now he was going to tell him why he called him. To put it simply, he wanted to reward Goku with an upgraded jetpack that was more durable and faster for his loyalty and hard work, and Goku was excited and told him to meet at his new LexCorp building tomorrow morning. Right, then he ended the call. The call ends, and Clark asked Goku who that was on the phone, even though he already knew the answer. And Goku told him. And Goku said that he was talking to his boss, and he was going to get a new jetpack. Clark asked him who exactly was his boss, and Goku said he was Lex Luthor, and that he was a really smart guy who pays him from time to time to collect space rocks. And he's worked with him, and for him for years. And that sentence made Clark's heart twitch, and a chill ran down his spine, because he had been crossing paths with Lex numerous times over the years, and that dude was a manipulative and dangerous man with crazy ambitions. And the idea that Goku was working with him was definitely unsettling. Superman paused, but he told his brother that Lex was not a good person, and that he had done a lot of bad things, and he shouldn't be trusted. And these statements confused him because Lex had always been straight with him and gave him equipment and money that helped him out over the years whenever he needed it. So he told Clark that Lex wasn't as bad as he thinks he was, and Superman sighed at Goku's nature, which was both a strength and a weakness. So he just told him to be careful working with Lex, and that if he ever asked him to do something that doesn't feel right, he should just walk away. Goku nodded, but was puzzled at the statement and replied that he would keep that in mind. And then he jumped off the building, and Clark could only hope that his brother would see who Lex truly was sooner than later. The next morning, Goku arrived at LexCorp's new building, which was now a towering skyscraper that served as headquarters for Lex's tech empire. Goku whistled with appreciation and then went inside the building. The place was full of employees in sharp suits with faces buried in screens of all kinds, and Goku felt out of place in his orange gi, but he didn't really care that much and walked up to the nearest desk, where she told him to meet Lex on the top floor in his private lab. Goku stepped into a massive laboratory filled with cutting-edge technology. Screens full of complex data and humming machines surrounded him. And Lex was in the center of the room, and the two smiled at each other and extended out their hands. Lex told Goku that it was good to see him again, and Goku said he felt the same way. And then he told Lex that his building looked amazing, and Lex was very proud of his accomplishments and told him that it was a result of hard work and innovation. But today wasn't about him. He brought his friend here so he could get his jetpack upgrade. So they walked to the workbench. Lex asked Goku where he had been because he fell off the radar, and the teen told him that he had been training with Kami on controlling his life force. And Lex's eyes gleamed with interest at the name because he knew that Kami was the Japanese term for God, and responded with a joke and saying, "Welcome back to the world of us mortals." And Goku said that his training was complete. So they make it to the bench, and Lex hands over the pack, and Goku can't wait to test it out. And Lex tells Goku that he's been a very valuable asset to him and his plans. Lex placed his hand on his friend's shoulder and told him that he had one more thing he wanted to discuss with Goku. He told him that the world was changing and new threats were emerging all over, and there could be an alien threat that could destroy their world someday. And Lex told Goku that he was assembling together a team of individuals that could take down these superhuman freaks that put humanity in danger, and he wanted Goku to be a part of it, because with Goku's strength and his resources, they can make a big difference. But Goku declined his offer and told Lex he's not really interested in being a superhero. But if he ever needed any assistance on a mission, he would be happy to help him from time to time. And Lex was disappointed but told Goku to think over his offer. As Goku exited the building with his new pack equipped, Lex watched him from the window of his office, and when he was out of sight, he walked on to his phone, dialed a number, and told the people on the line that it was time to test the Legion of Doom. And then Lex ended the call with a sinister smile on his face. Soon these so-called superheroes will be humbled. Goku soared through the skies of Metropolis in his new jetpack, but as he flew over the city, his sharp eyes caught a ruckus down below, and a figure crashed through some glass, raining shards on the sidewalk, and his instincts kicked in, so he dove down to see what was going on. And when he landed, he saw a familiar face with scuffed armor and a tilted tiara standing back up out of the debris, and then her face turned to see the eyes of her friend, and then Goku said the name of his friend he recognized, Diana? Question mark. So yeah, that's where we're going to end it out for this. It's going to be an episode. Now, let me know what you guys think. I tried to do a little format on my narrating. Made it sound more like a book. Let me know if you guys rock with it or what. So I'm going to head on out. Peace. Alright, Goku meets Wonder Woman. This is in Goku episode 10 of Goku in DC. Be sure you hit that like button and let's get straight to it. So let's go. Goku soared through the skies of Metropolis, his new jetpack humming smoothly as he enjoyed the freedom of flight. The city below was alive with activity, but something caught his sharp eyes, a commotion on the streets. A figure crashed through a storefront window, sending shards of glass raining down onto the sidewalk. Goku's instincts kicked in and he dove down to investigate, and as he landed, he saw a familiar face rising from the debris. It was Diana, his childhood friend and sparring partner from Themyscira. Her armor was scuffed, her tiara slightly tilted, and her expression was one of fierce determination. As she wiped a trickle of blood from the corner of her mouth and turned to see who had arrived, she called out Goku's name, her eyes in surprise, but her voice was steady. Meanwhile, Goku grinned, his usual cheerful demeanor shining through. He then asked her what was going on and who was giving her the trouble. But before Diana could answer him, a low guttural growl echoed from the shadows of the alley. A figure emerged, sleek and predatory, with glowing yellow eyes and sharp claws. It was Dr. Barbara Minerva, now fully transformed into her cheetah persona. Her fur glistened in the sunlight, her movements were fluid and deadly. Cheetah purred, her voice dripping with malice. "Your little monkey boy from Themyscira. I remember you. You're the one who ruined my plans on the island." Goku's grin faded as he recognized the transformed woman. "Wait, you're that lady who stole the dagger. What happened to you?" Diana stepped forward, her lasso glowing faintly at her side. "Goku, she embraced the curse of the cheetah, and she's not the same person anymore." Cheetah sneered, her claws flexing. "Oh, I'm better than I ever was, and now I'm going on the hunt." Goku cracked his knuckles and took a step forward, his eyes narrowing. No one was going to hurt his friend. If she wanted to fight, she would have to fight the both of them. But Diana placed a hand on Goku's shoulder, stopping him in his tracks. And she told her old friend that this was her fight. And Goku turned to her confused. He insisted that he could help her, but she didn't have to do this alone. And this made Diana's expression soften, but her resolve remained firm. She told him that she appreciated his concern, but this was something she wanted to do on her own, because Cheetah was her responsibility. Cheetah let out a mocking laugh, her tail swishing behind her, saying that this was very touching. This would go down as a tragic story. They'll call it The Princess and the Monkey. Goku's fist clenched, but Diana stepped in front of him, her lasso now fully glowing. She told him to ignore her because she was just trying to provoke him. Goku hesitated because his protective instincts were warring with his respect for Diana's wishes. But finally, he took a step back with a serious expression on his face. He told Diana that he'll just spectate, but if things get out of hand, he was jumping in. But he believed in her, and Diana nodded, keeping a small smile tugging at her lips, and she thanked him. The tension in the air was palpable as Diana and Cheetah faced off in the middle of the street. Pedestrians had already fled the area, leaving the two combatants to their battle. Cheetah crouched low, her muscles coiled like springs, while Diana stood tall, her lasso at the ready. Cheetah made the first move, lunging at Diana with blinding speed. Her claws slashed through the air, but Diana was ready. She sidestepped the attack and countered with a swift strike with her shield, which sent Cheetah skidding back. And the villain gave Diana a compliment by telling her that she had gotten faster. Then Cheetah growled, her eyes narrowing, but she wouldn't be fast enough. She darted forward, again, this time feinting to the left before swiping at Diana's legs. Diana leaped into the air, her lasso whipping out to ensnare Cheetah's arm, and with a powerful pull, she yanked Cheetah off balance, sending her spinning into a nearby car. Goku watched from the sidelines, his fists clenched as he fought the urge to intervene. His blood boiled for battle, but he would stay on standby. But he could see the intensity of the battle and the way Diana moved with precision and grace. But he also saw the raw power and killer intent and ferocity of Cheetah. Then the fight continued. Cheetah roared, sending her claws through the metal of the car as she pushed herself to her feet. She told Wonder Woman that she wasn't some mindless beast and that she was stronger, faster, and smarter than she would ever be. But Diana's expression remained calm. Her focus was unwavering. Strength and speed mean nothing, but without control, you make too many mistakes. And Cheetah was already about to start making mistakes, and she was lost. She had lost sight of who she was and who she could have been. And Cheetah snarled while her claws swayed in the air as she claimed that control couldn't save her from the huntress. And then she launched herself at Diana once more. With this time, her attacks came in a flurry of slashes and strikes. Diana blocked and parried with her bracelets, the sound of metal clashing against claws ringing out through the street. Until finally, Diana saw an opening and ducked under a wild swing and wrapped her lasso around Cheetah's torso, pulling her close. The lasso glowed brightly, its magic forcing Cheetah to reveal the truth. Cheetah revealed that she was afraid of what she had become, and afraid of losing herself entirely. And Cheetah struggled against the lasso, her eyes wide with rage and fear. She flailed for a release, but Diana tightened her grip while her expression softened. She told Barbara that she could try to help her, but she would have to let go of her hatred. And for a moment it seemed like Cheetah would relent, but then her eyes hardened and she let out a feral roar. With a burst of strength, she sighed, and then her resolve hardened once more because she realized she had to take her down. She charged forward with her shield raised, and Cheetah met her head on, their clash sending shockwaves through the street. But Diana's training and discipline gave her the edge, and with a powerful strike, she countered Cheetah and pinned her to the ground. And Goku watched in awe as Diana wrapped the lasso around Cheetah once more, this time binding her completely. As Cheetah struggled, but the lasso's magic held her in place, Diana's voice was filled with both sadness and determination. But she told Barbara that the fight was over and she was coming with her to face the trial by the Amazons. Goku stepped forward, his expression a mix of relief and admiration. He told his old friend he knew that she would come out on top, and Diana looked at him with a small on her face because for a moment the weight of her responsibilities seemed to lift. She told Goku that it was really good to see him again, and the group began to walk, and as they walked away, Cheetah growled, showing eyes filled with hatred. She screamed that their battle wasn't over, and that she would escape, and the next time they met, she would make sure that the princess wouldn't walk away next time. Diana's grip on the lasso tightened, but her voice remained calm. She would be ready, if that day ever came. Diana tightened the lasso around Cheetah, ensuring the villainess could not escape, and Cheetah thrashed about against the magical bonds, while her claws scraped against the pavement as she growled in frustration. Cheetah claimed that this wasn't over, but Diana's expression remained calm, but firm as she knelt beside her adversary. She told her captor that she caused enough harm, and it was time to face the consequences of her actions, so she was going to take her back to Themyscira, where she would be judged by the Amazons, and this statement made Cheetah's eyes narrow, her sharp teeth glinting as she sneered. Goku stepped forward, with his arms crossed as he watched the exchange. He told Cheetah that she wasn't going anywhere because Diana's got her tied up pretty good. Cheetah's gaze shifted to Goku, and her grin widened. This monkey is too naive to think this was just about her. He had no idea what was coming. But trust her, he wouldn't want to be in this city much longer anyway. And her cryptic words sent a chill down Goku's spine, but before he could respond, Diana had heard enough, and with a swift motion she delivered a precise strike to Cheetah's temple, knocking the villainess unconscious. Diana said she was tired of her talking, and Goku, however, raised an eyebrow, impressed by Diana's efficiency. As Diana secured Cheetah's unconscious form, Goku couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. Diana, what do you think she meant by that, about not wanting to be in the city much longer? Diana paused, her expression thoughtful. Cheetah's always been manipulative. She's trying to get into your head, Goku. Don't let her. Goku frowned, his instincts telling him that there was more to it. But what if she's not lying? What if there's something bigger going on? Diana placed a reassuring hand on his shoulder. If there is, then we'll handle it together. But right now, we can't let her words distract us. Goku nodded, though his mind was still racing. You're right. I just don't like not knowing what's coming. Diana smiled. Neither do I. But that's why we have to stay vigilant. The two stood in silence for a moment before Diana broke the tension. It's been a long time, Goku. How have you been? Goku's face lit up, his usual cheerful demeanor returning. I've been great. I've been training with this guy named Kami. He taught me a lot about controlling my energy and stuff. Oh, and I fought this guy named Piccolo. He was super strong, but I beat him. Diana raised an eyebrow, impressed. Piccolo? I've heard stories about him. He was an ancient demon, wasn't he? Goku nodded enthusiastically. Yeah, he was tough, but I had help from Batman and Aquaman. It was crazy. Diana chuckled. It sounds like you've been busy. I'm glad you're doing well. Goku grinned. What about you? I heard those people call you Wonder Woman before they ran off to safety. Diana's expression softened. I've been saving people since I've been in man's world looking for Cheetah, and they have started calling me that name. Goku's eyes sparkled with admiration. You're amazing, Diana. I think you can be a great hero, because though we both like battle, you were always more responsible than me. Diana prepares to leave. As their conversation continued, the sun began to set, casting a warm glow over the city. Diana glanced at the horizon, her expression growing somber. Goku, I have to go. Goku's smile faltered. What, already? We just caught up. Diana nodded, her voice tinged with regret. I know, but my duty is to Themyscira, and the Amazons come first. I need to take Cheetah back and ensure she's properly dealt with. Goku sighed, his shoulders slumping. I get it. Duty's important. It's just I missed you, Diana. It's not the same without you around. You're the only one I've met in my travels that has the thrill for battle as much as me. Diana's eyes softened, and she placed a hand on his cheek. I miss you too, Goku. I can say you are my best friend and the first boy I ever met on the island. But this isn't goodbye. We'll see each other again, I'm sure of it. Goku's spirits lifted slightly at her words. Is that a promise? Diana smiled. I promise. And next time we'll spar like the old times. Goku's grin returned. You're on. Just don't be surprised whenever I win. Diana laughed, a sound that filled Goku with warmth. We'll see about that. With one final hug, Diana hoisted Cheetah over her shoulder and prepared to leave. Take care of yourself, Goku. And if you ever need me, you know where my island is, and I'm sure I can work something out with my mother in letting you visit our people, considering what you've done for us. Goku waved as she disappeared into the distance, his heart heavy, but hopeful that he would see his best friend Diana soon. Meanwhile, in a dimly lit room deep within LexCorp, Lex Luthor stood at the head of the large table, his hands clasped behind his back. The room was filled with shadowy figures, their voices obscured by the low light. Among them were Ocean Master, Weather Wizard, and the Riddler, each wearing expressions of anticipation. Cheetah had jumped the gun, Lex announced, his voice calm but commanding. Her obsession with wanting to hunt Wonder Woman has forced our hand, and we can't afford to wait any longer. Ocean Master leaned forward, his trident rested against the table. So we attack now. Are you surface dwellers ready for that? Lex's lips curled into a sly smile. We've been ready. Cheetah's recklessness has only sped up our timeline. If we delay, she might reveal too much. Weather Wizard twirled his wand like device, a smirk playing on his lips. I've been itching to test this new weather control tech. This city won't know what hit it. The Riddler, ever the strategist, tapped his chin thoughtfully. And what of the boy? The one who rejected your offer to join us, Goku, was it? Lex's expression darkened at the mention of Goku. Goku's a wild card, powerful but naive. If he gets in our way, we'll deal with him. But he isn't really interested in being a superhero. So for now, our focus is destabilizing the city and drawing out the heroes. Once they're divided, we'll strike. I don't think we'll have to worry about Goku. Ocean Master nodded, his eyes gleaming with malice. And what of my brother, Aquaman? He will undoubtedly interfere. Lex smile widened. Let him. By the time he realizes what's happening, it'll be too late. The world will see that even the mightiest heroes can fall. The Riddler leaned back in his chair, a sly grin spreading across his face. Then it settled. The game is afoot. Lex raised the glass, his voice filled with conviction. To the Legion of Doom. Tonight we reshape the world. The others raised their glasses in unison, their laughter echoing through the room as they prepared to unleash chaos upon the city. Goku wandered through the bustling streets of Metropolis, his mind still replaying the fight between Diana and Cheetah. He couldn't help but smile as he thought about how much Diana had grown since their days on Themyscira. Her strength, skill, and determination were awe-inspiring, and he found himself longing for the chance to spar with her again. She's gotten so strong, Goku muttered to himself, his hands stuffed in his pockets. I wonder if I could keep up with her now. Maybe we'll have to have... I can't wait for that rematch someday. As he walked, the city around him seemed to fade into the background. Pedestrians hurried past, cars honked in the distance, and the hum of urban life filled the air. But Goku's sharp senses suddenly picked up on something unusual. A blur of red and yellow streaking past him at incredible speeds. Goku's eyes widened as he turned his head, but the blur was already gone. None of the civilians around him seemed to notice, but Goku knew what he had seen. Whoa, that was fast, Goku explained, his curiosity piqued. I've never seen anyone move like that before. Well, except for maybe Clark, but this was different. Without hesitation, Goku closed his eyes and focused, extending his senses to detect the energy of the mysterious speedster. It was faint, but it was there. A vibrant, pulsating energy that moved like lightning. Gotcha, Goku said with a grin, his eyes snapping open. He took off in the direction of the energy, his movement a blur, as he moved through the crowded streets. Meanwhile, Barry Allen, also known as the Flash, was in hot pursuit of a dangerous criminal. Barry had only recently come into his powers a couple years ago, after a freak accident involving a lightning strike and a chemical spill. The event had left him with the ability to move at superhuman speeds, and he had since taken up the mantle of Central City's protector. Tonight, however, Barry's mission had brought him to Metropolis. He was after a man who had stolen a cutting-edge weather modification device months ago. The device, if misused, could cause catastrophic damage, and Barry had finally gotten the lead that the thief was hiding somewhere in Metropolis. Come on, Barry muttered as he zipped through the city, his eyes scanning the streets for any sign of his target. Where are you? You slippery. But his thoughts were interrupted when he saw something or someone following him. Barry skidded to a stop, his red suit glowing under the city lights as he turned around. To his surprise, it was a young man in an orange and blue outfit standing there, his excitement practically radiating off him. Hi, Barry said, raising an eyebrow. Can I help you? Goku grinned, his excitement evident. Whoa, you're fast. I mean, really fast. How did you do that? And who are you? Barry blinked, caught off guard by the young man's enthusiasm. I'm the Flash, and I guess I'm just built different. But more importantly, how did you keep up with me? I didn't think anyone could do that. Goku scratched the back of his head and grinned widely. Oh, I just followed your energy. I didn't keep up with you. You're too fast for that, but I just followed your energy. You've got a pretty unique one. It's hard to miss. Barry's eyes widened in surprise. You can sense energy? That's nothing you see every day. Goku shrugged. Yeah, it's something I learned during my training. It comes in handy when you're trying to find someone who's really fast. Barry couldn't help but chuckle. Well, I guess that makes sense. So, what's your name? I'm Goku, the Saiyan replied, extending his hand. Nice to meet you. Flash, Barry shook his hand, a smile forming on his face. Nice to meet you too, Goku. You're not from around here, are you? Goku laughed. Nah, I'm from a small town, but I've been traveling a lot lately. What about you? What brings you to Metropolis? Barry's expression turned serious. I'm chasing a dangerous guy. He stole a weather modification device, and if he figures out how to use it, things could get really bad. I've been tracking him for months. I finally got a lead that he's here, and Goku's eyes lit up in interest. A weather device? That sounds serious. You need any help? Barry hesitated, and then both of their stomachs began to growl. Well, let's go get something to eat first thing first. Right, so the two quickly hit it off, their personalities meshing naturally. Barry suggested they grab a bite to eat while they discussed their next move, and Goku eagerly agreed. They found a nearby diner and took a seat, ordering enough food to feed a small army. As the place piled up, Barry couldn't help but laugh. You weren't kidding about being hungry, huh? Goku grinned, already halfway through a box of pizza. I haven't eaten since this morning. Barry shook his head in amazement as he watched Goku devour plate after plate. You know, I thought I could eat a lot, but you're on a whole nother level. Goku chuckled. You're not so bad yourself. I saw you put away 3 pizzas in like 2 minutes. Barry shrugged. Perks of being a speedster. Fast metabolism. As they ate, the conversation turned to their respective backgrounds. Barry shared how he gained his powers and became the Flash, while Goku talked about his training with Kami and his battles against powerful foes like Piccolo. So let me get this straight, Barry said, leaning back in his chair. You fought demons, trained with a god, and you're still just walking around like some normal guy. And Goku laughed. Well, I really don't like to brag. Besides, there's always someone stronger out there. That's what makes it fun. Barry couldn't help but admire Goku's optimism. You've got a pretty unique outlook on life. You know that? Goku shrugged. I just like to fight strong people and get strong in the process. It's what I do. As their meal wound down, Barry's expression grew serious again. Listen, Goku, this guy I'm after, he's dangerous. If he figures out how to use this weather device on a large scale, he could cause a lot of damage to this city. Right? And then after the meal, Goku and Barry stepped out of the diner, the city lights casting a warm glow over the bustling streets of Metropolis. Barry stretched his arms, his mind already racing with plans to track down the thief. All right, Barry said, turning to Goku. I'm going to do another sweep of the city. If I find anything, I'll let you know. Thanks again for the help. Goku grinned, his hands resting casually on his hips. No problem, Flash. If I find him first, I'll bring him to you. I'm pretty good at tracking energy signatures, and now that I'm familiar with yours, I'll know where to find you. Barry raised an eyebrow, impressed. Oh yeah, I forgot you said you could trace energy. That's actually really useful. But are you sure you're up for this? This guy's dangerous. I don't want you getting hurt. Goku laughed, his confidence unwavering. Don't worry about me, Flash. I face way worse than some thief with a fancy gadget. Besides, it'll be fun. Barry couldn't help but smile at Goku's enthusiasm. All right, Goku, if you're sure, then I'd appreciate that help. Just be careful, okay? If you find him, don't engage with him alone. We can handle him together. Goku nodded, though his grin suggested he might not follow that advice exactly to the letter. Got it. I'll let you know if I find anything. Good luck, Flash. With that, Goku took off into the city, his energy senses already scanning the area for anything unusual. Barry watched him go, shaking his head with a chuckle. That guy's something else. Barry muttered to himself before speeding off in the opposite direction, his crimson trail lighting up the night. Meanwhile, in Gotham City, the Batmobile roared through the dark streets, its sleek black frame cutting through the rain like a shadow. Inside, Batman's eyes were fixed on the road, his mind racing as he analyzed the latest clue left by the Riddler. The Riddler had been unusually active lately, leaving behind a series of cryptic riddles that hinted at a larger plan. The latest one had led Batman to a disturbing conclusion. The Riddler was leaving Gotham for Metropolis, and whatever he had planned, it was big. Alfred, Batman said, his voice low and gravelly as he activated the comm system in the Batmobile. I'm heading to Metropolis. The Riddler's latest riddle suggests he's planning something there. I need you to monitor Gotham while I'm gone. Alfred's voice cracked through the speakers, calm and composed as always. Understood, Master Wayne. But are you certain that this is the right move? The Riddler's games are rarely straightforward, I know. Batman replied, his jaws tightening. But I can't ignore this. If he's targeting Metropolis, it's only a matter of time before innocent people get hurt. I need to stop him before that happens. Alfred sighed. Very well, sir. Do be careful. Metropolis is a different beast altogether. And I dare say you'll have more than just the Riddler to contend with. Batman's lip curled into a faint smirk. I'm counting on it. As the Batmobile sped toward the city limits, Batman's mind raced with possibilities. The Riddler was a master of deception, and his riddles were always layered with double meanings. But one thing was clear. Metropolis was about to become the center of a dangerous game, and Batman intended to be one step ahead of it. We then jumped beneath the waves of the Atlantic Ocean. In the shimmering city of Atlantis, King Arthur Curry, better known as Aquaman, was preparing for battle as his trident gleamed in the dim light of the throne room as he addressed his council of advisors. My brother has gone too far this time, Aquaman said, his voice filled with determination. Ocean Master's rogue soldiers are preparing to invade the surface world. If we don't stop them, it will mean war, a war that neither Atlantis nor the surface can afford. Mira, Aquaman's queen and confidant, stepped forward, her expression grave. Arthur, you know how dangerous Orm is. He's been planning this for years. Are you sure you can stop him alone? Aquaman's grip tightened on his trident. I don't have a choice. If I don't confront him now, countless lives will be lost. I can't let that happen. Mira placed a hand on his arm, her eyes filled with concern. Then let me come with you. Together we can. Aquaman shook his head, cutting her off gently. No, Mira, I need you here to protect Atlantis in my absence. If something happens to me, you'll be the one that'll be leading our people. Mira hesitated, then nodded reluctantly. Be careful, Arthur. And remember, you're not alone. The surface world has a series of its own protectors. If you need help, don't hesitate to try to contact them, to get in touch with them. Aquaman smiled faintly. I'll keep that in mind. With that, he turned and swam toward the surface, his mind focused on the task ahead. As he broke through the waves and stepped onto the shore, he couldn't help but feel a sense of urgency. Ocean Master's forces were already on the move, and time was running out. Back in Metropolis, Diana, aka Wonder Woman, was making her way through the city with Cheetah slung over her shoulder. The villainess was still unconscious, her lasso-bound form a testament to Diana's strength and determination. Almost there, Diana muttered to herself, her eyes scanning the streets for a safe place to secure Cheetah. Before she could take another step, a deafening explosion rocked the city. Diana spun around, her eyes widening as she looked at a building on the other side of the street engulfed in flames. The force of the blast shattered windows and sent debris flying in all directions. Civilians screamed and ran to cover their faces, filled with terror. No, Diana cried, her heart pounding as she realized what had just happened. Without hesitation, she sat Cheetah down against a nearby wall, secure with her lasso, and talked to the unconscious body, said, stay here. She ordered, then she sprinted into the direction. People were crying, trapped outside, screaming for help. She found a group of civilians huddled in the corner, their faces blackened with soot and their eyes wide in fear. Diana told them that it was okay, and she was going to help them out. They reached the exit before the building could explode when it reached the gas, sending a wave of smoke. She shouted to them to get to safety, and Diana watching them go, her heart heavy, her resolve unshaken. As she turned, re-entered the building and searched for more survivors. She couldn't help but wonder what caused this explosion. Was it an accident or was something more sinister? Either way, Diana knew one thing for certain. She wasn't leaving until every last person in this building was safe. Diana emerged from the burning building, her face streaked with soot and her armor scorched with intense heat. She had managed to save everyone inside, but the effort had taken its toll. As she caught her breath, her eyes darted to the spot where she had left Cheetah, and her heart sank. Because Cheetah was gone, the lasso lay coiled on the ground, his golden glow dim. Diana had clenched her fist, frustration bubbled up inside her. How could she, before she could finish her thought, another explosion rocked the city? This time a few blocks away, the ground trembled beneath her feet, and a plume of smoke rose into the sky. Diana's eyes narrowed as she realized this wasn't a coincidence. This is no accident. She muttered, her voice low and tense. Someone is targeted in this city. She glanced around, her mind racing. Cheetah escaped, and the explosions, it had to have been connected. But who was behind it? And what was their end game? Diana didn't have time to dwell on it, as the sounds of sirens filled the air and she knew the authorities would be overwhelmed. She had to act fast. Cheetah can wait, Diana said to herself, her resolve hardened. Right now I need to stop whoever is doing this. With that, she took off toward the site of the latest explosion, her lasso glowing faintly as she prepared for whatever lay ahead. Meanwhile, Clark Kent was on his way back to the Daily Planet, a bag of takeout in his hand. He had been sent on yet another errand for his boss, Perry White. But he didn't mind. It gave him a chance to clear his mind and think about the strange events that had been unfolding in Metropolis lately. But as he walked through the bustling streets, something caught his attention. Every screen in the city, billboards, TVs, and storefronts, even the giant monitor in the center of the square, flashed to life, displaying the same image. Clark stopped in his tracks, his eyes narrowing behind his glasses. The screen showed a man dressed entirely in green, his face obscured by his fedora that was leaned down. Beside him stood another figure, one that Clark recognized immediately. That was the Toy Man, the notorious villain with a penchant for using his toys to cause destruction. And he was grinning ear to ear on the screen. The man in green stepped forward, his voice booming through the speaker. Citizens of Metropolis, he began. I am the Riddler. I am the Riddler. Some of you think of me a criminal mastermind. I think of myself as a game master. And I've grown tired of Gotham. The dark alleys, the brooding vigilantes, they've lost their charm. So I'm looking to expand. And the explosions you've been hearing are just a taste of what's to come. And if you can't stop us by solving our riddles, many people's lives will be at stake. Clark looked at it. This is bad, he muttered, his mind already racing to plans. He needed to act fast, but he couldn't just disappear in the middle of the street, so he ducked off into an alley and changed into a Superman costume that was below. His glasses tucked safely into his pocket. With a powerful leap, he soared into the sky, his cape billowing behind him as he headed toward the source of the broadcast. The Riddler was beginning to make his sinister announcement. The screens across Metropolis continued to broadcast the Riddler's chilling speech. It's revealed that he placed a bunch of toy bombs around the city, right? And Toy Man giggled in a high-pitched voice as he said that. We don't want to spoil the surprise, but just know that if you don't disarm the bombs, there'll be a lot of fireworks in Metropolis. The Riddler's voice echoed over the visuals. The first riddle is this. I am not alive, but I grow. I don't have a lungs, but I need air. I don't have a mouth, but water kills me. What am I? You have 1 hour to solve it. Fail, and the bomb will detonate. Good luck. The broadcast ended abruptly, leaving the city in a state of panic. People scrambled to solve the riddle, their fear palpable as they realized the stakes. Just as the confrontation between Aquaman and Ocean Master seemed to escalate, the water behind Ocean Master began to churn violently. A massive figure emerged from the depths, its hulking form casting a shadow over the shoreline. Goku's eyes widened as he took in the sight of the newcomer. It was a humanoid shark with razor-sharp teeth glistening in the moonlight, and its muscular frame radiated power. Whoa, Goku muttered, his grin returning. Now that's something you don't see every day. The shark-like creature let out a guttural roar, its eyes locking onto Goku and Aquaman. Ocean Master smirked, his voice dripping with satisfaction. Allow me to introduce my newest ally, Ocean Master said, gesturing to the creature. This is King Shark, and he's here to ensure my victory. Aquaman's expression darkened. King Shark? Orm, what have you done? Ocean Master chuckled. I secured the loyalty of one of the most dangerous creatures of the ocean. In exchange, he gets to feast on the surface dwellers once we've taken control. Goku stepped forward, his fist clenched. Yeah, that's not going to happen. If this guy is as tough as he looks, I'll take him on. King Shark let out another roar, his massive fists slamming together as he charged towards Goku. The Saiyan braced himself, his energy flaring as he prepared for the fight. Aquaman turned to Goku, his voice urgent. Be careful, Goku. King Shark is not an ordinary foe. He's way stronger than he looks. Goku grinned, his excitement evident. Let's hope you're right about that. As King Shark closed the distance, Goku leaped in to the air, his fist cocked back. The two collided with a thunderous impact, the force of their clash sending shockwaves through the air. Aquaman turned his attention back to Ocean Master, his trident raised. This ends now, Orm. Ocean Master smirked, his trident glowing with energy. We'll see about that, brother. The battle was on, with Goku facing off against King Shark and Aquaman confronting his brother Ocean Master. The fate of the surface world hung in the balance, and the heroes would need to give it their all to emerge victorious. Then we jumped to Superman, who had been flying through the air, high above Metropolis. Superman soared through the sky, his cape billowing behind him as he scanned the city below. The Riddler's broadcast had put everyone on edge, and Clark knew he had to act fast to prevent further chaos. As he flew, he noticed something unusual. The weather in Metropolis was behaving erratically, with dark clouds forming out of nowhere and lightning crackling in the distance. This was strange, especially since there had been no storms forecasted anytime soon. His attention was drawn to a sleek, high-tech car speeding through the streets below. It moved with precision, weaving through traffic with ease. Superman activated his X-ray vision, his gaze piercing through the vehicle's exterior to see who exactly was inside that car. To his surprise, he recognized the driver. It was the man dressed as a bat, the same one who had fought alongside Goku against Piccolo. Batman, Superman said, his voice low. What's he doing here? Without hesitation, Superman descended, landing in front of the Batmobile with a gentle thud. The car screeched to a halt, its tires smoking as it came to stop, just inches from the Man of Steel. The Batmobile's door opened, and Batman stepped out, his cape flowing behind him as he approached Superman. His expression was as stoic as ever, but there was a hint of urgency in his eyes. Move, Batman said, his voice gruff. I don't have time for this. Superman crossed his arms, his stance firm. I'm not here to get in your way, Batman. I just want to know what's going on. The Riddler and Toyman are causing chaos in my city, and I need to stop them. Batman's eyes narrowed. Your city. Metropolis belongs to its people, not you. And if you're so concerned, why haven't you stopped them already? I know about your powers. Superman sighed, his patience wearing thin. I'm doing everything I can, but I can't be everywhere at once. That's why I need your help. You've dealt with the Riddler before. You know how he thinks. Batman's expression softened just a little bit, though his tone remained sharp. The Riddler's not working alone. He's teamed up with the Toyman, as I'm sure you know. And they've planted toy bombs all over the city. If we don't act fast, innocent people will die. Then Batman pulled out a small device from his belt, displaying a map of the city with several red markers on it. These are the locations of the bombs, I'm almost sure of it. The Riddler's tied them to the riddles. Solve the riddles and we can disarm them. Fail and bombs go off. Real simple. Superman nodded, his resolve hardening. Then we don't have a moment to lose. Let's work together to stop them. Batman hesitated for a moment, then nodded. Fine, but we do this my way. No flying off half-cocked. Understood? Superman smirked. Understood. Lead the way, Batman. With this, the Batman climbed into the Batmobile, and Superman was going to fly next to the car. Their partnership forged in the face of a common threat. As the car sped through the streets, Superman couldn't help but feel a sense of hope. Together, they could surely stand a better chance at stopping the Riddler and Toyman before anybody could get hurt, or anyone else at least. Barry Allen, a.k.a. The Flash, had been racing through the streets of Metropolis. His mind focused on one thing, finding and stopping the Weather Wizard. The rogue weather modifier had been causing chaos across the city, and Barry knew he had to stop him before things got way worse. As he rounded a corner, Barry finally spotted his target. The Weather Wizard stood in the middle of a deserted street, His wand raised as dark clouds swirled overhead, lightning crackled in the city, and the wind howled like a wild beast. "There you are," Barry muttered, skidding to a stop a few feet away from the villain. "Time to end this." The weather wizard turned, his eyes narrowing as he recognized the scarlet speedster. "Flash! I was wondering when you'd show up. Too bad you're too late." Barry crossed his arms, his expression serious. "It's over, Martin. Whatever you're planning, it's not going to work. Surrender now and maybe we can avoid a fight." The weather wizard laughed, his voice dripping with malice. "Surrender? You really think I'm going to let you stop me? I've got the power of the storm at my fingertips, Flash, and you're just a fast man playing dress-up." Barry's eyes narrowed. "We'll see about that." With a burst of speed, Barry charged the weather wizard, his movements a blur, but before he could reach him, the villain raised his wand, summoning a powerful gust of wind that sent Barry flying backward. Barry landed on his feet, his eyes narrowing as he assessed the situation. "Okay, so he's got some tricks up his sleeves. Good to know." The weather wizard smirked, his wand crackling with energy. "You're out of your league, Flash, but don't worry. I'll make this quick." With that, he unleashed a barrage of lightning bolts, each one aimed directly at the Flash, but he dodged and weaved, his speed allowing him to avoid the attacks. But he knew he had to do something more long-term. Couldn't do this forever. "Think, Barry, think," he muttered to himself as he ran. "There's got to be a way to stop him." As the battle raged on, the storm grew more intense. The winds howling and the rain pouring down the street in the sheets. Barry knew he had to end this fast before the weather wizard's storm caused even more damage. Right? While that was happening, deep within the bowels of LexCorp, Lex Luthor stood in his private lab, his eyes gleaming with anticipation. Before him stood a massive mechanical suit, its sleek design radiating power and menace. The suit was unlike anything the world had ever seen, its surface glowing faintly with an eerily green light. Lex ran a hand over the suit's surface, a satisfied smile spreading across his face. "Perfect," he murmured. "Everything is falling into place." He stepped back, admiring his creation. The suit was equipped with the latest technology, including a power source that harnessed the energy of Kryptonite. Lex had spent years perfecting this design from all the shards that Goku had been collecting, and the prototype to see how it ran through Metallo, and now it was finally ready. "On this day," Lex said, his voice filled with determination, "the world will see how super the man really is." He climbed into the suit, his mechanical arms whirling to life as they sealed him inside. The suit's systems activated, its HUD displaying a wealth of information about its capabilities. Lex's smile widened as he felt the power course through the circuits. "Superman thinks he's untouchable," Lex said, his voice echoing through the lab. "But he's about to learn that even a steel man has a melting point." With that, he activated the suit's thrusters, the powerful engines propelling him into the air. The roof of the lab opened, and Lex soared into the sky, his eyes locked on the city below. "Let the games begin," he said, his voice filled with malice. And that's where we're going to be ending things off. Let me know if you guys enjoyed this narration style, man. Be sure you leave a like. Go! Goku and DC, episode 11. Goku helps Superman. So, let's get to it. The scene is one of a desolate coastal battlefield. The sky is overcast with dark clouds above the ocean, and waves crash violently against the coastline. Goku stands in a defensive stance, his eyes locked on King Shark, who looms over him like a monstrous tidal wave. The air is thick with tension as the two warriors prepare to clash. Goku grins. "You're big, I'll give you that, but let's see if you can keep up." King Shark roars, a guttural sound that echoes across the battlefield. He charges at Goku, his massive fist swinging with devastating force. Goku leaps into the air effortlessly and sidesteps the attack, but the ground where King Shark fist lands collapses, sending sand debris flying in all directions. Goku lands gracefully, his movements fluid and precise. He dashes forward, delivering a series of rapid punches to King Shark's torso. Each strike connects, but the villain barely flinches. Goku's eyes narrow as he realizes the problem. He thinks to himself, his skin is like armor and my punches aren't doing anything. King Shark swipes at Goku again, his movements powerful but predictable. Goku dodges another attack, his reflexes allowing him to evade with relative ease. However, the sheer force of King Shark's swings creates shockwaves that force Goku to keep his distance. Goku mutters to himself, "This isn't working. I need to find an opening." The battle continues with Goku dodging and weaving around King Shark's attacks. Despite his agility, Goku can't give him a punch that really hurts. Every punch, every kick seems to bounce off. But then he starts to notice something. King Shark's movements are beginning to slow down. Goku takes a moment to assess the situation. He notices that King Shark's movements are becoming way more sluggish and he's breathing heavier. The villain's once near unstoppable momentum was fading, and Goku began to piece together the reason. Goku realizes King Shark was out of his element, literally, because King Shark is a creature of the water designed to thrive in the ocean's depths. On land, his massive frame and dense muscles are a disadvantage that slowly drain away his stamina. Goku smirked, sensing an opportunity. "You're not used to fighting on land, are you? Must be tough carrying all that weight around," King Shark snarls, his frustration evident. He swings at Goku again, but this time the attack is slower and easier to predict. Goku ducks under the blow and counters with a powerful uppercut to King Shark's jaw. The villain stumbles back, more from surprise than pain. King Shark growls, "Little man annoying me." Goku grinned, "Good. Maybe now we're getting somewhere." Goku presses the advantage, his attacks becoming more focused. He targets King Shark's joints and pressure points, aiming to wear him down further. And the villain's movements grow even more labored, his once overwhelming strength now a shadow of its former self. Goku thinks to himself, if I could keep this up, I can easily win. But just as Goku begins to feel confident, King Shark's eyes narrow, and the villain's lips curl into a sinister grin, and he suddenly lunges forward with surprising speed. Before Goku can even react, King Shark grabs his arm with a vice-like grip. Goku gets startled. "What the?" King Shark says, "You're not the only one with tricks, little man." With a mighty heave, King Shark leaps with Goku in his arms toward the ocean. The Saiyan warrior tumbles through the air, unable to break free from the villain's grasp, and the two crash into the water with a massive splash, with the impact sending waves rippling across the surface of the sea. Underwater, the battle takes a dramatic turn. King Shark's movements have become more fluid and effortless. His strength and speed return to their peak, while Goku, on the other hand, struggled to adapt to the unfamiliar environment. Because the water slowed his movements, making it harder to dodge and counterattack, while he was also on the defense. Goku thinks to himself, "This is bad, really bad." King Shark is swimming circles around Goku, his massive form cutting through the water like a torpedo. He delivers a powerful tail swipe, sending Goku spinning through the water. The Saiyan manages to recover, but the force of the attack leaves him disoriented, and King Shark mocks him. "What's the matter? Can't keep up?" Goku grits his teeth, his determination unwavering. He focuses energy, creating a small key barrier around himself to help stabilize his movements. The barrier also provides a pocket of air, allowing him to breathe underwater for that moment. Goku muttered through the muffling barrier, "All right, Shark Man, let's see how you can handle this." And Goku charges at King Shark, his movements still slower than usual, but more controlled. He delivers a series of key-enhanced punches, each one creating shockwaves that ripple through the water. King Shark blocks most of the attacks, but a few manage to connect, causing the villain to grunt slightly in irritation and minorly in pain. King Shark snarls, "You are persistent, I'll give you that, but it won't be enough." The villain counters with a devastating tackle, slamming into Goku and sending him crashing into a nearby rock formation. The impact shakes the ocean floor, seeing debris floating in all directions. Goku groans, his body aching from the force of the attack. Goku thinks, "I can't keep this up. I need to end this fast." Summoning his remaining strength, Goku picked up the giant rock formation and hits him square in the chest, sending him flying backward. The explosion shatters the rocks from the attack, creating a massive shockwaves, and Goku shields his eyes from the rock fragments. And when the dust settled, King Shark was nowhere to be seen. Goku scanned the area, his senses on high alert, while panting in the process. "Did I get him?" Suddenly, a massive shadow loomed behind him, and Goku turns just in time to see King Shark charging at him with eyes blazing with fury, and the villain's jaws are wide open, ready to deliver a crushing bite. And Goku braces himself for the impact. The underwater battlefield is a chaotic swirl of bubbles and debris. King Shark's massive jaws are inches away from Goku's face, his razor-sharp teeth glinting at the dim light filtering through the water. Goku struggles against the villain's iron grip, his muscles straining as he tries to break free. Goku thinks fast. This is bad. If I don't do something now, I'm shark food. King Shark's grip tightens and his claws dig into Goku's arms. But the Saiyan warrior winces in pain, but his eyes narrow with determination. He knows he can't afford to panic. Not now or ever. King Shark growls, "You're tough, I'll give you that. But even you can't fight forever." Goku's mind races as he searches for a way out. Suddenly, an idea strikes him. He focuses his energy in his eyes, and they glow a fierce red as he channels his power through them. With a roar, he unleashes a burst of energy from his eyes, a point-blank eye blast that slams into King Shark's face with his mouth open. Goku shouts, "Take this!" The blast sends King Shark reeling backward, his grip on Goku finally loosening. The villain roars in pain, clutching his face as the energy dissipates. Goku doesn't waste a second, because he uses this opportunity to put some distance between himself and his opponent. And he tells himself that was close, but King Shark recovers quickly, his eyes once again furious, and he glares at Goku, his massive frame trembling with rage, and he tells him that he will pay for that, and then he disappears beneath the waters. Goku bursts out the water, his jetpack thruster sending him soaring into the air. He glances back at the ocean below, his heart still racing from the close call. The shoreline isn't far now, and Goku knows he'll have to take advantage on the dry land if he has any chance of winning. And he tells himself that just a little further and he can make it back to the shoreline. But just as he begins to relax, a massive shadow emerges from the waters below. King Shark launches himself out of the ocean with terrifying speed, his jaws wide open and his eyes locked in. And Goku sees King Shark, but he can't really react fast enough as he barrels towards him, and the villain's jaw snaps shut. But before King Shark can connect his teeth to flesh, a golden streak flashes through the air as a rope wraps around Goku's waist and yanks him out of harm's way just as King Shark's flung out of the water. The villain's jaw snaps shut on empty air. His roar of frustration echoes across the battlefield. Goku is pulled through the air, the golden rope guiding him safely to the shore. He lands gracefully, his eyes wide with surprise. Standing before him is none other than his childhood friend, Diana, who now went by Wonder Woman, her lasso in hand and her expression calm but determined. Goku is surprised. "Whoa, thanks for the save." Wonder Woman smiled. "You look like you could use a hand." Goku grins, his spirits lifted by the arrival of the Amazonian warrior. He quickly regained his composure, his eyes shifting back to the ocean where King Shark was still lurking. Goku nodded at his friend. "You've got great timing. That guy's a real pain in the neck." Wonder Woman nodded back. "That beast seems like a formidable opponent, but together we can take him down surely." King Shark emerges from the water, his massive form towering over the shoreline. He glares at the two heroes, his fists clenched and his teeth bared. King Shark laughs. "Two against one. Fine by me. One is dinner and the other's dessert." Wonder Woman steps forward, her shield raised and her lasso at the ready. Goku stands beside her, his fists glowing with energy. The two heroes exchange a quick nod, their resolve unwavering. Goku spoke. "All right, we'll take them together." Wonder Woman agreed. The battle begins anew, with Goku and Wonder Woman working together to take down King Shark. The villain is powerful, but the combined strength and skill of the two heroes proves to be a challenge for him. The fight is intense, with each side pushing the other to their limits, and as the battle rages on, Goku can't help but feel a sense of camaraderie with Wonder Woman. Her strength and determination remind him of his own, and he knows that together they could overcome almost any obstacle. Goku thinks to himself, with the both of us fighting him, we can pull this off. King Shark was dripping, his massive form dripping with seawater, his muscles rippling with renewed strength, his eyes glowing with feral intensity. The rehydration had boosted his power once again, and he was more dangerous than ever. He charges forwards toward Goku and Wonder Woman, his movements swift and relentless. King Shark roars, "I'll crush you both." Goku steps forward, his eyes narrowing as he assesses the situation. He knows they're at a disadvantage, but Goku had a plan. Goku looks to Wonder Woman and tells her, "Listen, we just need to hold him off. The longer he's on land, the weaker he gets. We just have to outlast him." Wonder Woman nods, her expression calm but determined. She tightens her grip on her lasso and raises her shield for the fight ahead. Wonder Woman tells him that everything's understood. We wear him down together. King Shark lunges at them, his massive fist swinging with devastating force. Goku and Wonder Woman split up, dodging the attack and countering from opposite sides. Goku delivers a series of rapid punches to King Shark's side, while Wonder Woman strikes with her bracelets, aiming for the villain's joints. The duo's coordinated attacks force King Shark to divide his attention, but the villain's strength and speed make him a formidable opponent. He swipes at Goku, forcing the Saiyan to leap back, and then he turns back to Wonder Woman's shield with his arms bashing the metal against the metal. You're persistent, I'll give you that, but it won't be enough. Meanwhile, on the other side of the beach, Aquaman was locked in a fierce battle with his brother Ocean Master. The two brothers clash in a storm of trident strikes and water manipulation, the rivalry fueling the intensity of the fight. Ocean Master gains the upper hand, slamming Aquaman into a nearby building with a powerful blast of water. Aquaman groaned from the impact. You're not going to win, Orm. This ends now. Ocean Master laughed. You're out of your depth, brother. This city will be mine. It will belong to Atlantis, as it should. As Aquaman struggled to his feet, Ocean Master raised his trident high into the air. His weapon glowed with a sinister purple light, and the ground began to tremble. Water surged up from the depths, flooding the streets and rising rapidly. Aquaman was alarmed. What are you doing? Ocean Master laughed again. I'm reclaiming what's rightfully mine. The surface world will drown and Atlantis will rise. The floodwaters spread quickly, submerging part of the city and creating a chaotic battlefield in the process. The rising water reaches Goku and Wonder Woman's location, and King Shark's eyes gleam with renewed vigor as he feels the surge of power. Now that's more like it. The villain's movements become even faster and more fluid, his strength amplified by the water surrounding them. Goku and Wonder Woman exchanged a worried glance. Realizing the situation had just gotten much worse, Goku grimaced. This isn't good. He's even stronger now. Wonder Woman just simply said, we will adapt because we have to. King Shark takes full advantage of the flooded battlefield, his speed and agility reaching new heights. He dashed towards Goku, his movements almost too fast to follow. The Saiyan barely manages to dodge, but King Shark's tail whips around, slamming into Goku and sending him skidding across the water surface. Goku grunted. Okay, this is getting ridiculous. Wonder Woman steps in, using her lasso to restrain King Shark's movement momentarily. But the villain breaks free with a powerful roar, strength overwhelming even her. The duo is forced on the defensive, struggling to keep up with King Shark's enhanced abilities. And just when it seems like the situation was hopeless, Goku smirked and took a step back and began to remove his weighted shirt. Wonder Woman and King Shark both paused, confused by the sudden action. Wonder Woman blinked, and her face reddened slightly. What are you doing? King Shark spoke, confused. You think taking off your shirt will save you, human? Goku drops his weighted shirt into the water, and it sinks with a loud splash, creating a small wave. The ground trembles slightly under the weight of the clothing, and Wonder Woman's eyes widen in realization. You've been wearing weighted clothing this whole time. Goku simply responds with, yep, and it's time to get serious. With the weights removed, Goku's movements become lightning fast. He dashes towards King Shark, his speed catching the villain off guard. Goku delivers a powerful punch to King Shark's jaw, sending him stumbling backward. King Shark was stunned, and he uttered, what the? Goku smirked. Let's see how you handle me at my full speed. The tide of the battle began to turn as Goku's newfound speed allowed him to keep up with King Shark. And Wonder Woman joins the fray, her weapon striking with precision. Together, the duo begins to push the villain back, their teamwork and determination shining through. With his weighted shirt removed, Goku's speed became a game changer. He darted around King Shark like a blur, landing quick, precise strikes to keep the villain off balance. However, King Shark's raw power was still the problem. Every punch the villain threw carried enough force to level a building, and Goku knows he can't afford to take a direct attack. Goku thinks, I'm faster, but he's still stronger. I need to keep him distracted so Diana can do the heavy hitting with her enchanted weapons. Goku feints to the left, drawing King Shark's attention, before darting to the right and delivering a sharp kick to the villain's ribs. King Shark growls in frustration, swinging wildly at Goku, but the Saiyan warrior is already out of reach. King Shark hisses, hold still, you pest. While Goku kept King Shark occupied, Wonder Woman moves in from behind. Her enchanted shield glows with a golden light as she strikes at the villain's back. The metal vibrated through King Shark's tough hide, drawing a roar of pain from the beast. Wonder Woman speaks confidently. You're not invincible, monster. King Shark whirls around, his massive tail whipping toward Wonder Woman. She raises her shield just in time, the impact sending her skidding backward. But the momentary distraction gives Goku another opening. as he charges in, delivering a powerful uppercut to King Shark's jaw. Goku teased him. "Keep your eyes on me, big guy." The duo's strategy was working. Goku's speed and agility kept King Shark distracted, while Wonder Woman's enchanted weapons dealt significant damage. But the villain was no fool, and he was starting to catch on to their plan. King Shark's eyes narrow as he watches Goku and Wonder Woman work together. He realizes that they're using a coordinated strategy. Goku distracts him while Wonder Woman lands the heavy hits. The villain's lips curl into a sinister grin as he devises a plan of his own. King Shark thinks to himself, "They think they're so clever, but I'll turn their little game against them." The next time Wonder Woman moves in for a shield bash, King Shark pretends to focus on Goku. He swings at the Saiyan, forcing him to dodge, but he keeps his attention on Wonder Woman out of the corner of his eye. As she closes in, the King Shark suddenly shifts his weight, putting all its power into a devastating tail swipe aimed directly at her. King Shark roars, "Gotcha!" The attack is perfectly timed, and Wonder Woman realizes it too late. She's walked into his trap, and she tries to raise her shield, but King Shark's tail was accelerating too fast, so she wouldn't be fast enough. But just as the blow is about to connect, Goku appears in a flash, placing himself between Wonder Woman and the attack. Goku utters, "Not so fast," and the tail slams into Goku with bone-crushing force. The impact sends him flying backwards, blood spraying from his mouth. As he crashes into a nearby building a couple blocks away, the structure collapses around him, burying him in the rubble. Wonder Woman was shocked and yelled Goku's name, but King Shark laughed, his plan seemingly executed to perfection. But his laughter was cut short as Wonder Woman's expression shifts from shock to fury. Her eyes blaze with righteous anger as she draws her sword. Wonder Woman coldly tells King Shark, "You have made a grave mistake, monster." Wonder Woman drops her lasso to her hip and unsheathes her sword, the blade glowing with a fierce golden light. Her stance is firm, her eyes locked on King Shark with unyielding determination. The air around her seems to crackle with energy as she steps forward, her every movement radiating power and revenge. Wonder Woman tells him, "You will pay for that." King Shark sneers, but there's a flicker of unease in his eyes. He's never seen someone this angry before, and he knows he's in for a fight. The villain charges at her, his massive fist swinging with all his strength. But Wonder Woman is ready. She sidesteps his attack with ease, her movements fluid and precise. Her sword arcs through the air, slicing into King Shark's arm and drawing a roar of pain from the villain. Wonder Woman follows up with a shield bash to his chest, the impact sending him stumbling backward. King Shark growled, "You're going to regret that." But Wonder Woman wasn't done. She presses the attack, her sword and shield moving in perfect harmony. Each strike was calculated, each blow designed to wear King Shark down. The villain tried to counter, but Wonder Woman's skill and speed were too much for him at the moment. But could the Amazon keep up this pace? That was the real question. Goku struggles to pull himself out of the rubble, his body aching from the brutal hit he took from King Shark. He coughs, wiping blood from his mouth, and looks up to see the chaos unfolding around him. In the distance, he spots the Flash, locked in a high-speed battle with Weather Wizard, who is hovering high above the city, using his weather wand to create violent storms. Goku thinks to himself, "Flash is fast, but he can't reach Weather Wizard up there. And Diana's still fighting King Shark alone. I need to do something." Goku assesses the situation quickly. He knows that Flash's speed would be more useful against someone like King Shark, especially since Diana was probably starting to tire. Meanwhile, Goku's jetpack gave him the mobility and the aerial support he needed to take on Weather Wizard directly. He makes a decision and calls out to Flash, and the Flash zips over to Goku in an instant, his expression a mix of concern and frustration. The Flash speaks, "Goku, you okay? I'm trying to stop Weather Wizard, but he's too high up, and the storms are making it hard to get close." He speaks very fast. Goku told his new friend, "I've got an idea. You go help Diana. She's fighting King Shark near the beach." He points to the direction. "You're faster than me, and she needs backup. I'll take care of Weather Wizard." The Flash hesitates for a moment, glancing up at Weather Wizard, who is cackling as he unleashes another lightning storm on the city. But he trusts Goku's judgment and nods. "All right, but be careful. That guy's wand is no joke." Goku simply smiled. "Don't worry, I've faced worse." With that, the Flash takes off in a blur of red lightning heading towards the beach to assist Wonder Woman, and Goku activates his jetpack, the thrusters roaring to life as he ascends into the stormy sky, his eyes locked on Weather Wizard. Goku rockets towards Weather Wizard. The wind and rain whipping around him, the villain notices him approaching and smirks, waving his weather wand menacingly. Another young man playing superhero. Well, you're too late. Metropolis will be blown away in my storm. Goku shouted to be heard over the thunder. Not if I have anything to say about it. Weather Wizard simply points his wand at Goku, summoning a massive bolt of lightning. Goku dodges with a quick burst of speed, the lightning narrowly missing him. He closes the distance, delivering a powerful punch to Weather Wizard's midsection. The villain grunted, stumbling backward but quickly recovering. Weather Wizard grit his teeth from the damage. You'll regret that. The villain unleashes a barrage of hailstones, each one the size of a baseball. Goku weaves through the storm, his movements precise and calculated. He counters with an eye blast, the energy beam cutting through the hail and forcing Weather Wizard to dodge. The two engage in a high-speed aerial battle, their movements a blur against the stormy backdrop. Goku knows he needs to destroy the Weather Wand to stop the storm, but Weather Wizard is keeping it well protected. Goku thinks to himself, I need to get that wand. But he's not going to make it easy. Meanwhile, the Flash arrives at the beach, his eyes widening as he takes in the scene. Wonder Woman is locked in a fierce battle with a shark-like creature, her movements slowing as fatigue is beginning to set in, and the Flash knows he needs to act fast. Wonder Woman raises her shield in time to block another powerful swing from King Shark. The impact sends her skinning backward, her breath coming in short gasps. She's done significant damage to the villain, but the water surrounding them is keeping King Shark refreshed and strong and healing his injuries, for the most part. King Shark mocked the princess. What's the matter, woman? Tired already? Before Wonder Woman could respond, King Shark lunged at her with his jaws wide open. She braced herself for the impact, but suddenly a red blur appeared, yanking her out of harm's way just in time. The Flash sets her down gently, a sight distance away, his trademark grin on his face. And the Flash tells her, need a hand. Wonder Woman was surprised by the save and asked the question, who are you? Name's Flash, and Goku sent me to help. Looks like I got here just in time. Wonder Woman nodded as a small smile formed on her lips. She was grateful for the assistance. But there's no time for introductions. King Shark roared, charging at the two heroes with renewed fury. The Flash and Wonder Woman exchanged a quick look, and their teamwork organically meshed well, as the Flash used his speed to distract King Shark, darting around the villain and landing quick strikes, while Wonder Woman focused on delivering powerful blows with her sword and shield. The tide of the battle began to turn as the duo's coordinated attacks forced King Shark on the defensive, but the villain was relentless, and the fight was far from over. Meanwhile, in another part of the city, Batman and Superman were working together to stop the Riddler and Toyman from carrying out their destructive games. The villains had planted bombs throughout the city, each one protected by a riddle that must be solved to disarm it. Batman gruffed through his earpiece. The next bomb is in the Central City Power Station. Riddler's clue points to the source of light in the darkest night. Superman responded to the radio chatter. Got it, I'll head there now. Superman takes off, his cape flapping behind him as he flies toward the power station. Batman stays behind, analyzing the next clue on his holographic display. The two heroes work in perfect sync, their contrasting skills complementing each other. At the power station, Superman finds the bomb hidden inside a generator. The riddle reads, I am not alive, but I can grow. I don't have lungs, but I need air. What am I? Superman thought of the answer, and the answer was fire. He quickly inputs the answer and disarmed the bomb just in time. And that was after he just saw the riddle of the darkest night. Then he asks Batman for the next location. Batman tells him, go to the subway station. The clue is, I speak without a mouth and hear without ears. I have no body, but I come alive with wind. And Batman solved this riddle that time and told Superman the answer was an echo. And Superman was on his way. But as Superman flies off, Batman narrowed his eyes, his mind racing. He knows that the Riddler and Toyman are testing them, but he's determined to stay one step ahead. The fate of the city depended on it, as well as innocent lives. High above Metropolis, Goku and Weather Wizard continued their aerial battle. The storms raged around them, lightning crackled, and rain poured in sheets. Goku was visibly battered, his movement slightly slower due to the damage he sustained from King Shark. Despite this, his determination never wavered. Weather Wizard mocked his efforts. You're courageous, I'll give you that, but you can't win. My storm is going to blow down the city, and there's nothing you can do to stop me. Goku narrowed his eyes. Yeah, we'll see about that. Goku dodges another lightning bolt, his mind racing. He knows he needs to disarm Weather Wizard, but the villain is keeping his wand well protected. Suddenly, an idea strikes him, a risky move, but one that might just work. Goku thinks to himself, if I can get close enough to grab the wand, maybe I can knock it out of his hands with my weighted boots. Goku smirks, his plan forming in his mind. He feints to the left, drawing Weather Wizard's attention, before darting to the right. As the villain prepares to unleash another lightning bolt, Goku kicks off his weighted boot with pinpoint accuracy. The heavy footwear rockets towards Weather Wizard's hand. The boot slams into the weather wand, knocking it out of the villain's hand. The wand tumbles through the air, and Goku doesn't waste any time. He activates his jetpack and zooms towards the falling wand and catches it mid-air. Goku smiled. Gotcha. With his wand in possession, Goku channeled his energy in his hand and crushed it. The storm began to dissipate immediately. The dark clouds parting to reveal the sun. Weather Wizard stared in disbelief, his power source destroyed. All he could say was no. Then Goku landed by a nearby rooftop, his breathing heavy but his spirit unbroken. He looked down at the defeated Weather Wizard, who is now powerless without his wand. It's over. Surrender and I'll go easy on you. Weather Wizard snarled but knows he was beaten. He raised his hands in defeat and Goku flew him down to the authorities to take the villain into custody. Back at the beach, Wonder Woman and the Flash continued their battle against King Shark. The villain's strength and endurance was still a problem, but the duo's teamwork was starting to wear him down. Wonder Woman, however, knew they needed a decisive move to end the fight entirely. Wonder Woman panted as she looked at her partner. Flash, I have an idea, but I'll need your help. The Flash replied, I'm all ears. What's the plan? Grab hold of me and run. Build up as much speed as you can. I'll use my shield to ram into King Shark at full force. It should be enough to knock him out. The Flash grinned. Got it. Let's do this. The Flash grabs Wonder Woman's arm, his body crackling with Speed Force energy. In an instant, there are a blur of motion racing across the battlefield at unimaginable speed. King Shark roars, trying to track their movements, but they're too fast. King Shark grunted, stop running and fight me. As they reach maximum speed, Wonder Woman raises her shield, her eyes locked on King Shark. The Flash releases her at the perfect moment, and she rockets towards the villain like a golden missile. The impact is earth-shattering. A shockwave ripples through the air as Wonder Woman's shield slams into King Shark's chest. King Shark was stunned. The force of the blow sends King Shark flying backward, his massive body crashing into the sand. He lies motionless, finally knocked out cold. Wonder Woman lands gracefully, her shield glowing faintly from the impact. The Flash whistled. Now that's what I call a knockout. Wonder Woman smiled. Thank you for the assist. Flash, we make a pretty good team. The Flash grinned, clearly impressed by Wonder Woman's strength and determination. Together they secure King Shark, ensuring he won't be a threat anymore. Meanwhile, on the other side of the shore, Aquaman and Ocean Master's battle was reaching its climax. The two brothers clash in a storm of trident strikes and water manipulation, their rivalry fueling the intensity of the fight. Ocean Master gains the upper hand, slamming Aquaman into a stone with a powerful blast of water. Aquaman groaned. This is over. Ocean Master mocked him. You're a failed king, brother, and this city will belong to our people, as it should. As Aquaman struggles to his feet, the shockwave from Wonder Woman's high-speed impact with King Shark reverberates through the entire shoreline, and as the ground trembles and Ocean Master is momentarily distracted, his focus wavering. Ocean Master flinched. What the hell was that? Aquaman seized that opportunity, lunged forward, and disarmed Ocean Master with a swift strike of his trident. His weapon clattered to the ground, and Aquaman pressed his advantage, pinning his brother against the rock with his trident at his throat. Aquaman stood firm over his fallen opponent. It's over, Orm. Surrender. Ocean Master glared at his brother, his expression a mix of anger and frustration. But he knew that he was beaten. He raised his hand in defeat, his voice filled with bitterness. This isn't over, Arthur. You may have won today, but Atlantis will take the surface sooner than later. Our rise is inevitable. Aquaman's eyes soften. Not like this. Not through destruction and chaos. Now come quietly. With Ocean Master subdued, Aquaman and his special forces take his brother back into custody to Atlantis. Or they begin to. The city is in chaos, but Batman and Superman remain focused on their mission. They successfully solved all but one of the Riddler's riddles, disarming bombs and preventing widespread destruction. The final riddle was displayed on Batman's holographic screen, its cryptic message glowing ominously. Batman read it through his comm. I am strong as steel, yet I can be broken without being touched. What am I? Superman frowned. Steel, that could mean anything, but given the context, it's likely referring to the steel mill on the outskirts of the city. Batman shook his head. Agreed, you head to the steel mill and figure out the riddle. I'll track down the Riddler and Toyman. They've been too quiet. And I don't trust them not to have an escape plan, and I've located where they're hiding. Superman frowned. Be careful, Batman. Those two seem pretty dangerous. Batman frowned. Same to you, Superman. Don't let your guard down. Superman takes off, his cape billowing behind him as he flies toward the steel mill. Batman, meanwhile, activates his tracking system, pinpointing the likely location of the Riddler and Toyman. The Dark Knight's eyes narrow as he realizes they're hiding in the abandoned toy factory. A fitting lair for Toyman, Batman muttered. Now it's time to end this, and he speds off in that direction. Batman arrives at the abandoned toy factory, his movements silent and deliberate. He slips through the shadows, his cowl lenses scanning the area for traps or guards. As he approaches the main entrance, he's met with an unexpected sight. A small army of mechanized toy soldiers, their eyes glowing red as they activate and turn toward him. Toyman's voice is heard through a loudspeaker. Welcome, Batman. I hope you're ready to play. The toy soldiers charge at Batman, their movements surprisingly agile for their size. Batman doesn't hesitate, engaging them with precision and skill. He disables the first wave with well-placed batarangs, their mechanisms short-circuiting and collapsing to the ground. More soldiers pour out of the factory, but Batman is ready. Batman thinks to himself, these are just distractions. I need to get inside. Using his grappling gun, Batman swings over the army of toys, landing on a catwalk above. He makes his way to the factory's control room, where he finds the Riddler and Toyman monitoring the chaos on a series of screens. The Riddler gives a sinister smile. Ah, the Dark Knight himself. I was wondering when you would show up. Toyman giggled. You're too late, Batman. The final riddle is already in play. Batman spoke coldly. It's over. Surrender now. The Riddler raises an eyebrow, his smirk widening. It's far from over. In fact, your new friend is about to solve his last riddle, whether he realizes it or not. Batman narrowed his eyes. What are you talking about? The Riddler laughed. The final riddle isn't about steel. It's about the Man of Steel. The Man of Steel himself. And by now, he's already walking right into our trap. Batman's eyes widen as he realizes the implication. He tries to contact Superman through his earpiece, but all he hears is static on the other end. The signal was being jammed. Batman cursed under his breath. What have you done? Toyman laughed. Oh, nothing too drastic. We just arranged a little meeting between Superman and one of his old acquaintances. Batman doesn't waste any more time. He disables the Riddler and Toyman with a series of precise strikes to the back of their necks, ensuring they won't cause any more trouble. But his mind is already racing, his concern for Superman growing by the second. Batman spoke to himself in the darkness of the factory. Superman, whatever you're walking into, I hope you're ready. Superman arrives at the steel mill, his eyes scanning the area for any signs of a bomb. The building is eerily quiet. The only sound in the distance is the hum of machinery. He moves cautiously, his super hearing tuned for an unusual noise. Superman muttered to himself, there's no bomb in here. What's going on? As he steps further into the mill, a certain blast of energy slams into him, sending him crashing through a wall. Superman groans, his vision blurring as he wobbles to his feet. Standing before him is a figure in a sleek, glowing green suit, a suit powered by Kryptonite. Lex Luthor opened his mask to speak directly. Hello, Superman. Do you like my new outfit? Superman gritted his teeth. Luthor, I should have known you were behind this. Lex Luthor laughed in the process. Oh, I'm just the final piece of the puzzle. The Riddler and Toyman were merely pawns in the game, and now you're right where I want you. Lex raised his arm, the suit's Kryptonite-powered gauntlet glowing ominously, and he fires another blast, forcing Superman to dodge. The Kryptonian The Kryptonite's radiation weakened him, making it harder for him to move and think clearly. Superman thought internally, I need to end this fast, but how? Lex advances, his suit systems humming with power. Superman knows he is in for a fight for his life, but he also knows he can't afford to lose. The fate of the city, and possibly the world, could depend on it. The beach was now a scene of relative calm. After the intense battle, Aquaman stood tall, his trident in hand, as he oversees the Atlantean Special Forces, escorting Ocean Master and his rebels back to Atlantis to stand trial. The defeated villains were bound in chains, their heads hung low as they were led away. They also took King Shark because they thought that they could better monitor him than the surface. Aquaman's expression was stern, but there was a hint of relief in his eyes. Aquaman ordered his soldiers, telling them, make sure they're secured. I'll return to Atlantis shortly to oversee their trials. As the soldiers departed, Goku arrived on the scene, his jetpack humming softly as he lands on the sand. He found and put back on his weighted shirt, and then he approached Aquaman, his usual grin on his face, despite the bruises and scrapes from his earlier battles. Hey Arthur, looks like you've got everything under control. Aquaman gave him his usual grin on his face. For now, Orm and his rebels will face justice for what they've done. What about you? Oh, I took down a guy who was manipulating weather with a device, and Aquaman told Goku that was an impressive feat. The two exchange a few more words before Goku notices the Flash and Wonder Woman standing a little ways off, talking quietly. He waves and walks over to them, his energy still high despite the day events. Hey, you two, great job taking down King Shark. That was some teamwork. The Flash smirked. Thanks, Wonder Woman here did most of the heavy lifting, though, literally. Wonder Woman smiled. We couldn't have done it without your speed, Flash. And Goku, your plan to send him to help me defeat King Shark and giving us the information we needed also played a part. The three heroes shared a laugh, the camaraderie between them evident. For a moment, it seemed like the worst was over. But then Goku's expression suddenly changes. His smile fades, and his eyes narrow as he senses something that makes his heart stop. His face becomes serious. Wait, something's wrong. The Flash was concerned. What is it? Goku said, my brother. He's in trouble. I can feel it. And then he blasted off, leaving everybody there behind without saying a word. At the steel mill, Superman struggled to his feet, his body weakened by the kryptonite radiation emanating from Lex Luthor's suit. The Man of Steel's usual confidence was replaced by a grim determination as he faced one of his oldest enemies. Lex Luthor mocked his downed opponent. Get up, Superman. The people of Metropolis need to see this. They need to see their so-called savior brought to his knees. Lex's voice was cold and calculated, his face concealed behind the sleek metal of his suit. The green glow of kryptonite pulsed through the armor, casting an eerie light across the room. Superman clenched his fists, his jaw tightening as he meets Lex's gaze. Superman spoke steadily despite his current condition. You're wrong, Lex. This isn't about me. It's about your obsession with power. But no matter what you do, you'll never win. Lex Luthor sneered. We'll see about that. Today the world will witness the fall of a false god. Lex raised his arm, the kryptonite-powered gauntlet glowing brighter. As he charged another blast, Superman braced himself, his mind racing for a way to counter the attack. He knows he can't afford to take another direct hit. The radiation is already sapping his strength. Superman tells himself, I need to buy time and find a way to disable that suit. As Lex fires another blast, Superman dodges with a burst of speed, the green energy narrowly missing him and tearing through the wall behind him. The Man of Steel knows he's at a disadvantage, but he's not out of the fight yet. Superman's movements are slower than usual. The kryptonite radiation was taking its toll, but he was still faster than Lex, and he used that to his advantage. His plan was simple. Pick apart Lex's suit piece by piece, using the environment to his advantage. He grabs a large piece of metal debris from the ground and hurls it at Lex with pinpoint accuracy. The projectile slams into the suit's shoulder, causing a spark and a small explosion. Lex stumbles back, his suit system momentarily flickering. Lex Luthor growled behind his mask. You think that's enough to stop me? Think again. Lex fires another kryptonite blast, but Superman dodges again, this time throwing a chunk of concrete at the suit's leg. The impact damaged the armor and bent it inwards, causing Lex to stagger. Superman pressed the attack, using his heat vision to target the suit's joints and weaken its structure. Superman thought of a plan. If I can disable this suit's power source, I can end this, but Lex isn't going down without a fight. He retaliates with a barrage of Kryptonite blasts, forcing Superman to stay on the defensive. The Man of Steel is wearing down, his movements becoming more sluggish as the radiation continues to affect him, just from being in the vicinity. Lex Luthor teased the down Kryptonian. You're weakening, Superman. How long can you keep this up? Superman clenched his teeth, long enough to stop you. The battle raged on, each side pushing each other to their limits. Superman's strategy was working, but Lex's suit was still operational, and the Kryptonite radiation was taking its toll more and more as the battle prolonged on. And the Man of Steel knew he needed to end this soon before it was too late. The steel mill was in ruins, the air thick with dust and the acid smell of burning metal. Superman and Lex Luthor's battle had left the structure unstable, with chunks of concrete and steel threatening to collapse at any moment. Amid the chaos, a family huddled in the corner in an alley, too terrified to move. A mother clutched her two children, shielding them as debris rained down around them. Lex fired another kryptonite blast that Superman was able to dodge. The green energy struck the support beam above the family, and the beam cracked, and a massive slab of concrete began to fall toward them. Their mother screamed, pulling her children closer, but there was nowhere to run. Superman gasped. No. Despite his weakened state, Superman summoned the last of his strength and rocketed toward the family, his body moving faster than his mind could process. He reached them just in time, shielding them with his body as the concrete crashed down on his back. The impact was deafening, and Superman groaned in pain, but he didn't falter. He lifted up the debris with trembling arms, his muscles straining under the weight. Superman weakly looked at the family. Go, get out of here. The family scrambled to safety, their faces filled with gratitude and fear. Superman collapsed to his knees, the last of his energy spent. His vision began to blur, and he struggled to stay conscious. The kryptonite radiation had taken its toll, and his body felt like it was made of lead. As his vision faded, Superman saw a familiar figure step in front of him. A man in an orange gi, his black hair spiked, and his fists clenched. The last thing Superman hears before darkness claims him was his brother's name, Goku, and then everything went black. Goku stands protectively in front of his fallen brother, his eyes blazing with fury. He glares at the figure in the metal suit, his fist trembling with barely contained rage. The sight of Superman, his brother, his friend, lying unconscious and battered is too much for him to bear. Goku is seething with anger. What did you do to him? Lex Luthor hesitates, his voice modulator distorting his words as he speaks through the helmet. He hadn't expected Goku to show up, and the sight of his former friend and employee standing against him gives him pause. Lex Luthor talks through his mask. Goku, this isn't your fight. Walk away. Goku's eyes narrow, his anger boiling over. He doesn't recognize the voice behind the mask, and he doesn't care to. All he sees is the man who hurt his brother, and that's enough for him. Goku, I'm making this my fight. Lex takes a step back, his suit system worrying as he recalibrates. He hadn't planned for this. Goku isn't weakened by kryptonite, and his raw power is a threat Lex can't ignore, but the billionaire genius isn't one to back down easily. Lex Luthor began to speak coldly through the metal. You don't understand what's at stake here. Superman is a threat to the world. I'm doing what needs to be done, Goku snarled. You're wrong, and I'm going to make sure you regret ever laying a hand on him. Without another word, Goku charges at Lex, his speed and power on full display. Lex raised his arm, firing a kryptonite blast, but Goku dodged with ease. The green energy missed him by inches. The Saiyan warrior closed the distance in an instant, delivering a powerful punch to the suit's chest. The impact sends Lex skidding backward, his suit armor dented, but still functional. Lex grit his teeth, his mind racing as he assessed the situation he was now in. Goku isn't affected by my kryptonite like Superman, and because of this, Goku's attacks would be far more devastating to my armor. So Lex knew that he would need to use every trick in his arsenal to stand even a chance in this fight. So he changes the settings from kryptonite-focused beams to more so post-blast that were combustive. And Lex Luthor muttered, frustrated, Fine, if you want to fight, I'll give you one. Lex activates the suit's thrusters, launching himself into the air. He fires a barrage of energy blasts at Goku, each one crackling with radiation. Goku weaves through the attacks, his moments a blur as he closes in on Lex. Goku thinking, this suit is fast, but I'm faster. I just need to get through that armor. Goku grabs a piece of broken machinery from the ground and hurls it at Lex. The projectile slams into the suit's other shoulder, causing a small explosion. Lex grunted in pain, his systems flickering as he struggled to maintain control. Lex bit his lip through his mask. You're not invincible. Lex retaliates with a powerful energy beam, forcing Goku to block with his arms. The force of the blast sent Goku backwards, but he quickly recovered, his determination unwavering and his rage just as hot. The battle intensifies, each combatant pushing the other to their limits. Goku's raw power and speed are a match for Lex's advanced technology, but the billionaire genius isn't going down without a fight. The steel mill shakes under the force of their clash, the structure threatening to collapse entirely. As the fight rages on, Goku's anger fuels his attacks. But he knows he needs to stay focused. This guy was cunning, whoever he was, and Goku couldn't afford to let his guard down. The fate of his brother was at stake here, and he was not planning to fail. The battle between Goku and Lex Luthor reaches a fever pitch. The steel mill was in ruins, the air thick with smoke and the sound of clashing metal. Goku's fists slam into Lex's suit with devastating force, each blow denting the armor more and more and sending sparks flying. Lex retaliates with energy blasts and mechanical strikes, but Goku's speed and strength are too much for him to handle. In a decisive move, Goku grabs Lex's gauntlets, locking their hands together. The two struggle for dominance, their strength evenly matched for a brief moment. Goku's eyes narrow and he channels his energy into a powerful eye blast. The red beam strikes Lex's helmet directly. Goku speaks with a demanding tone. Now let's see who's behind that mask. The blast melts through the helmet, revealing Lex Luthor's face. Goku's eyes widen in shock. His grip on Lex's gauntlets loosen as he takes a step back and lets Lex fall to the ground. Goku could not believe it. Lex, it's you. Lex's face was exposed, his expression a mix of frustration and defiance. He glares at Goku, his breathing heavy as he struggles to maintain his composure. Lex Luthor starts to speak cold. Surprise, Goku. Or did you really think I'd let Superman continue to play the hero? Goku's shock quickly turned to anger. He drops Lex to the ground, his fists clenched as he struggles to process what is going on right now, what he's learning. Lex, however, isn't done. He gets back to his feet, his suit system still operational despite all the damage. Lex speaks low. You can't stop me, Goku. This is bigger than even you realize. Goku could not believe it. Goku steps forward, his eyes widening as his eyes lock on Lex, the anger in his voice palpable. But there's also a hint of sadness. He cannot believe that his friend, someone he trusted, could be behind this. Goku spoke with a confused tone. Why, Lex? Why are you even doing this? Superman's not your enemy. He saved this city more times than I can count. What's your problem with him? Lex smirk fades, replaced with cold determination. He straightens up, his voice steady as he responds. Superman is a threat, Goku. He's an alien with powers beyond human comprehension. He claims to be a hero, but what happens when he decides he's had enough? What happens when he turns on us? I won't let humanity rely on a false god. Goku shook his head. You're wrong, Lex. Superman's not like that. He's one of the most selfless people I know. He'd never turn on the people he's sworn to protect. Lex simply sneered. You're naive, Goku. You see the best in everyone, but that's your weakness. The world isn't as simple as you think it is. Goku's fist tightened, his frustration going. He knows Lex is stubborn, but he also knows there's no reasoning with him in this state. The two stand facing each other, the tension between them palpable. Goku spoke up. You're the one who's blind, Lex. You're so focused on your own fears that you can't even see the good in people. And that's why I have to stop you right here, right now. The former friends had a shouting match as they tried to get the other to see reason, but it was to no avail, so they decided that they would have to prolong the fight to its inevitable conclusion. Lex charges at Goku, his suit's thrusters roaring as he closes the distance, but Goku is ready. He closes his eyes, taking a deep breath as he remembers his training both with Kami and Raj Al Ghul. He focuses his life force in his body to become a living weapon of precision and power. Goku thinks as he concentrates. This ends now. As Lex swings his gauntlet, Goku moves out of the way. His body becomes a blur, his movements too fast for the human eye to follow. He sidesteps Lex's attack and drives his hand forward, his fingers piercing through the suit's armor like a hot knife through butter. Lex Luthor gasped. What? Goku's hands closed around the Kryptonite core, the source of the suit's power. With a sharp tug, he rips it out, the green glow fading as the core is disconnected. Lex's suit powers down. His mechanical arms fall limp as the systems shut off entirely. Goku opens his eyes, his expression calm but resolute. He holds the Kryptonite core in his hand, the faint glow reflecting on his eyes. Goku stood firm. It's over, Lex. You've lost. Lex stumbled back, his face pale as he realizes the extent of his defeat. He glares at Goku, his pride wounded but his resolve unbroken. Goku crushed the Kryptonite core in his hand, the green light extinguishing completely. The steel mill falls silent. The battle was pretty much finally over. Lex's suit lied in ruins, its system completely shut down after Goku removed the Kryptonite core. The once imposing armor is now nothing more than dead weight, its mechanical arms limp and lifeless. Lex struggles to free himself from the confines of his own suit, his face a mask of frustration and anger. As the suit chest plate opens, Lex steps out, his movement stiff and unsteady, probably having minor fractures in him and definitely possible internal bleeding from all the impact damage he had been facing. He glanced at Goku, expecting the Saiyan warrior to strike him down or at least restrain him. But to his surprise, Goku turned his back, his attention focused on Superman, who was still lying unconscious on the ground. Goku spoke coldly. Go, Lex, before I change my mind. Lex narrows his eyes, his mind racing. He doesn't understand why Goku was letting him go, but he was not about to waste the opportunity. He steps back, his voice low and bitter. You'll regret this, Goku, siding with him. Mark my words. These people can't be trusted. Goku didn't respond, his back still turned as he kneels beside Superman. Lex hesitated for a moment, then turned and ran out of the building, disappearing into the shadows. The sound of his footsteps fade, leaving Goku alone with his fallen brother. Moments after Lex's escape, the screech of tires echoes through the ruined steel mill. The Batmobile skids to a halt outside the building, its sleek black frame glistening under the dim light. Batman stepped out, his cape billowing behind him as he surveyed the scene. His eyes narrow as he takes in the destruction, and he sees a damaged suit of armor and Goku helping Superman to his feet. Batman spoke gruffly. What happened here? Superman groaned, his hand clutching his side as he got his footing. He looked at Batman, his voice weak but steady. Superman spoke up. Lex, he was behind this. He had a suit powered by kryptonite, which is an element that can be fatal to Kryptonians, my people. And Goku stopped him. Batman's gaze shifts to Goku, his expression unreadable, but his tone sharp. And where is Luthor now? Goku doesn't respond immediately. He focuses on helping Superman stand. When he finally looks at Batman, his expression is calm but resolute. He's gone. Batman narrowed his eyes. Gone? That means you let him escape. Goku remains silent. His lack of response speaks volumes. Batman steps closer, his voice low and acoustic. Based on that damaged suit of armor with no one in it, you had him, and you let him go. Why? Goku ignored Batman entirely. His intention still on Superman. He helps the Man of Steel toward the exit, his movements deliberate and unhurried. Batman watches them go, his frustration evident, but his curiosity piqued. As Goku exits with Superman out of the building, they're met by the Flash and Wonder Woman, who had arrived on the scene after being tipped off by Batman. The two heroes rush forward, their expressions filled with concern. The Flash talked fast. Superman, Goku, are you guys okay? Wonder Woman placed a hand on Superman's shoulder. What happened? We came as soon as we heard. Superman managed a weak smile, his strength slowly returning now that he was away from all the radiation within the building. We're fine, thanks to Goku. Goku nodded but remained silent, his expression distant. He's clearly troubled by the events that just unfolded, and his mind was elsewhere. Batman followed behind, his presence looming as he pressed forward for answers. You still haven't explained why you let Luthor go. He's a dangerous man, and now he's out there, free to cause more chaos. Wonder Woman stepped forward, her tone firm but respectful. Batman, now isn't the time. Goku just saved Superman and stopped Lex's plan. That's what matters. The Flash agreed. Yeah, cut him some slack. He's been through a lot. Batman's eyes narrow, but he doesn't argue. He knows when to pick his battles, and this wasn't one of them. Goku, however, had enough. He looked at Superman, his voice quiet but steady. Goku looked at his brother with saddened eyes. You good to walk on your own? Superman nodded. Yeah, I'll be fine. Thanks. And without another word, Goku activated his jetpack and blasted off into the night sky, leaving the other heroes behind. The group watched him go, their expressions a mix of concern and understanding. The Flash frowned. What's up with him? Wonder Woman sighed. He's processing betrayal, because she remembered Lex. He used to speak about Lex very highly when they were on the island. He's processing betrayal. Give him time. Batman crosses his arms, his gaze still fixed on the horizon where Goku disappeared. Batman interrupted them. We have to prepare for the next time. Luthor's still out there, and with him off the scene, we have no evidence to tie him to these crimes. Superman changed the subject. For now, let's focus on cleaning up this mess. Goku's done his part. The rest is up to us. The heroes nod in agreement, their resolve unwavering as he prepared to face whatever was to come next. The city of Metropolis is a hive of activity as repair crews work tirelessly to fix the damage caused by the recent battles. The streets are filled with sounds of construction equipment, and the air is thick with the smell of dust and smoke. Reporters and journalists swarmed the area, eager to get the scoop on what happened. Among them was Lois Lane, her notebook in her hand, as she interviews bystanders and witnesses, her sharp eyes missing nothing, and her determination to get the full story is evident in every question she asks. Lois Lane was talking to a witness. Can you tell me what you saw? Anything at all could help piece together what happened here. The witness answered. It was chaos. There were explosions, and then I saw Superman fighting some guy in a metal suit, and then he saved a family, and then there was this other guy with an orange clothes, spiky black hair. He showed up and saved the day. Lois scribbled fiercely on her notebook, her mind racing. She knows this is the story of the year, and she's determined to get every detail. But there was one thing that bothered her. Clark Kent. Lois Lane muttered under her breath. Where is Clark? He's never late for a story like this. She pulls out her phone and dials Clark's number, but it goes straight to voicemail. Lois frowns, her concern growing. Clark's sudden disappearance is unusual, especially after an event of this magnitude. She talked to herself. What's going on with you, Clark? Meanwhile, in a secluded location, far from prying eyes of the public, Batman has summoned the heroes who helped save Metropolis. The room was dimly lit, the atmosphere serious and focused. Seated around a large table was Wonder Woman and the Flash. Superman was the last to arrive, his presence commanding, but his expression weary. Batman stood at the head of the table. Thank you all for coming. We faced a great threat recently, and it's clear that we need to be better prepared for what's to come. The Flash leaned back in his chair. So what's the plan, Batman? You're not exactly known for your team spirit. Batman ignored his jab. I propose we form a team, a league, if you will, a group of heroes who can come together to protect the world from future threats. Too great for any one of us to handle alone. Wonder Woman nodded. A Justice League. That's a bold idea, but one worth considering. Superman crossed his arms, and who decides who gets to be part of this league? You? Batman calmly continued. We all do. But it has to be a group we can trust, which brings me to my next point. Goku. The room falls silent as the heroes exchange glances. Superman is the first to speak, his voice firm. Where is Goku? He should be here. Batman coolly answers. He wasn't invited. The statement sparks an immediate reaction. Wonder Woman stands, her eyes blazing with anger. What do you mean he wasn't invited? He saved Superman and stopped Lex Luthor. He's more than earned his place here. The Flash agreed. Yeah, Goku's one of us. You can't just cut him off because you don't like him. Batman raised his hand to silence them. This isn't about personal feelings. Goku is unpredictable. He doesn't follow orders, and he's quick to act on his own, and he let Lex Luthor get away. We need discipline and structure if this league is going to work. Superman lifted up his voice. Goku may not fit your idea of a team player, but he saves people, and he's my brother. If he's not part of this, then neither am I. The room erupts into an argument. The heroes divided on the issue. Batman finally raises his voice, cutting through the noise. Enough. If you're all determined to include Goku, then fine. But he won't be a part of the Justice League. He'll have his own role to play, something that suits his unique abilities. The heroes reluctantly agree, their trust in Batman's leadership outweighing their frustration. But the tension in the room is palpable, and it's clear that this is only the beginning of a much larger conversation. Meanwhile, at the Kent farm in Kansas, Goku was enjoying a rare moment of peace. He sits at the kitchen table with his parents, Martha and Jonathan Kent, the smell of home-cooked food filling the air. The three of them laugh and talk, making up for lost time. As the meal comes to an end, Goku steps outside, the cool countryside air, a welcome change from the chaos of metropolis and city life. He takes a deep breath, his mind still processing everything that's happened. But his moment of peace is short-lived as Superman lands in front of him, with his cape flowing in the wind. Goku raised an eyebrow. "Clark, what are you doing here?" Superman smiled. "I need your help with something." "What kind of something?" "I want you to help lead a group of teens, heroes in training. Batman is calling them the Teen Titans. They're young, but they're powerful. They need someone around their age who can guide them. Teach them how to use their abilities for good." Goku tilting his head. "Teen Titans, huh? Sounds like a big responsibility." Superman nodded. "It is, but I can't think of anyone better suited for the job in helping them. You've got the strength and the heart to help lead them to a shining future." Goku considered the offer, his mind racing. He's never been one for leadership. He looks his brother in the eye. "Clark, you know I've never wanted to be a superhero, so I'm the wrong guy for the job. Get someone else for the position." Superman sighed. "I knew you were going to say that, but maybe this will change your mind. Batman has offered to let you use some of his experimental equipment at the facilities that will help you get stronger, if you agree to take the position." Goku grinned, his usual enthusiasm returning. Goku says, "All right, I'm in. But don't expect me to wear a cape or anything." Superman chuckled, clapping Goku on the shoulder. "Deal. It's time for you to meet the Teen Titans, Goku." And that's where we're going to be ending things, man. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. This is really going to be the end of the origin story for the Goku and DC storyline. So, yeah, peace. And don't forget to leave a like button and subscribe. Gone.